Chapter 645. The four forces sealed the teleportation portal at the same time. What were the four forces trying to do? Everyone was puzzled. They did not know what was wrong with the East Royal City, the Long family of the West, the Nether Mansion of the South, and the Ethereal Palace of the North. Why did they seal the teleportation portals? Did the four forces want to withdraw from the Battle of the Nine States? Not only did the four forces seal all the teleportation portals, they even summoned all their disciples back. The meaning was simple. The four forces had withdrawn from the Nine States. In other words, the Dragon Sect was the only overlord of the Nine States. As for Longao, he had become the most powerful person in the Nine States. Longao was not surprised by the actions of the four major forces because they had already guessed the actions of the four major forces. Longao did not care about the four forces. He was fully focused on the Nine States. Longao had decided not to care about the four forces for now. He could use this opportunity to develop the strength of the Dragon Sect. This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for the Dragon Sect. In the following period of time, Longao developed the strength of the Dragon Sect while secretly allowing the 300 members of his family to receive the inheritance. In the end, Long Ying chose to strip the inheritance of the Great Emperor and chose the inheritance of the Divine Tao. From then on, the Nine States and the Nine-State Spirit Domain were completely peaceful. The four forces were still the overlords of the Nine-State Spirit Domain. However, the Nine States had a new master and the Dragon Sect was the only overlord. According to Longao's decision, he was going to let Long Fu refine a few divine souls to help him break through to the Saint Realm. However, Long Fu could not care less now. The reason was simple. Long Fu was concentrating on refining the 100 drops of blood to help Long Chong evolve and become an ancient divine dragon. Because of this, Longao put this matter aside for the time being. A beginner saint could barely break through to the middle saint realm through cultivation. However, Longao spent a whole month to consolidate this realm. The 8 realms of the illusionary divine realm were divided into the half-saint realm, Sage Realm, Earth Sage Realm, Sky Sage Realm, King Sage Realm, King Sage Realm, Holy Venerable Realm, and Holy Emperor Realm. Standing on the peak of Longao Mountain, Longao felt the power of nature. Suddenly, a gust of wind blew. At this moment, Longao's lips curled into a sneer. His entire body began to spin as he used his self-created martial technique, Sorrow of the Heavens and Earth. The aura of heaven and earth enveloped the area as 2 figures appeared. Both of them were very powerful and were genuine Earth Saint cultivators. The combined might of 2 Earth Saint cultivators was not to be underestimated. Longao did not dare to be careless, because he had no idea who these 2 Earth Saint cultivators were. Longao did not know who these 2 Earth Saint cultivators were. 2 Earth Saint realm martial artists from the 4 great forces? Longao instantly denied his guess because he knew that the 4 forces had already sealed off the teleportation channel. Their attitude was very clear. They were unwilling to continue fighting with him. Since that was the case, why did the 4 forces still want to assassinate him? Besides, as everyone knew, there were 3 martial monarchs in the sect, including himself. Wasn't it suicide to send out 2 Earth Sacred Realm cultivators? Therefore, Longao directly denied the guess in his heart. Since the 2 Earth Saints were not from the 4 major forces, then who were they? At this moment, Longao could not be bothered to continue guessing. He used all his strength to fight against the 2 Earth Saints. Longao was very confident in his own strength. Even if he was facing an Earth Saint, he could still escape if he could not win. But now, with 2 Earth Saints joining forces, how could he resist? However, Longao was such a person. He clearly knew that he was no match for 2 Earth Saints, but Longao still clenched his teeth and fought. His bloodsucker blade instantly slashed out. Within the tornado, the aura of heaven and earth firmly suppressed the 2. The 2 Earth Saints covered their faces, so it was impossible to see clearly. However, the 2 of them were very strong. Longao's chi of heaven and earth was unable to suppress the 2 of them. Just like that, the 3 of them fought fiercely within the tornado. Pressure. Still pressure. Under the suppression of the 2 Earth Saints, The energy that Longao had absorbed earlier was slowly compressed and quickly fused. Then, it fused into every part of his body. Then, Longao, who had just broken through to the intermediate saint realm, continued to break through to the advanced saint realm under the powerful suppression. Under normal circumstances, who knew how long it would take for Longao to break through to the advanced saint realm from the intermediate saint realm, not to mention consolidating his foundation as an advanced saint. However, it was precisely because of the suppression of the two earth saints that Longao was able to stabilize his foundation as an advanced saint in just a few minutes. But in this way, Longao was gradually unable to resist. At this moment, the two earth saints suddenly weakened their attacks, causing Longao to be very puzzled. He did not know what the two were trying to do. Longao was forced to retreat step by step. The suppression of the two earth saints was too strong, causing Longao to be suppressed everywhere. He had just broken through to the advanced saint realm, but suddenly, his foundation loosened again. His cultivation had broken through again and again from the intermediate saint realm to the advanced saint realm. Moreover, he had broken through to the peak saint realm at this time. It would be a lie to say that he was not happy. But at this moment, Longao did not have the chance to be happy at all. Because the two earth saints had joined forces, if he relaxed even a little, he would be killed instantly. In fact, Longao was very curious. Ordinary earth saints would not be able to force him to the point where he could not fight back. However, the strength of these two earth saints was completely different. They were very powerful, especially when they joined forces. No matter how much strength he exerted, it was useless. Was he an earth saint? Longao had an illusion that the two earth saints he was fighting with were not earth saints at all. They seemed to be saint kings, saint emperors, or even great emperors. Longao knew that this was his illusion, but since things had already reached this point, he did not dare to be careless. Just like that, Longao was suppressed by the two sage-to-be martial artists. Unknowingly, 6 hours had passed. His cultivation base had broken through to the senior saint realm from the intermediate saint realm at the beginning, and then to the peak saint realm. He was only one step away from the earth sage realm. Earth saint. Longao suddenly felt that the saint core in his body had begun to shatter. He was overjoyed because if a saint wanted to break through to the earth saint realm, they would first have to shatter their own saint core and fuse all the energy together. Just like this, Longao's cultivation soared, and the two earth saints did not kill him. They only fiercely suppressed Longao, suppressing him with just the right amount of strength. Peng! With a loud sound, Longao was sent flying. The two earth saints did not follow up with another attack and just disappeared into thin air. Forcibly stopping, Longao's face was filled with joy. His body was trembling with excitement. Looking at the divine soul that had suddenly appeared in front of him, he thanked, "Many thanks to old ancestor for your help." Chapter 646. Long Batian nodded approvingly and said with satisfaction, "In just a few hours, you were able to break through to the Earth Sage realm. This shows your talent and potential." Long Batian heaved a sigh of relief. It seemed that his guess was right. The two Earth Sage experts were arranged by the old ancestor. Long Batian knew what the old ancestor meant. The old ancestor wanted to make use of the two Earth Sage experts to suppress him so that he could break through to the Earth Sage realm. Long Batian knew that under normal circumstances, he would need at least 2 years to break through to the Earth Sage realm. At the very least, he would need a year. But now, in just 6 hours, his cultivation had broken through to the Earth Sage realm. This was something that he would never have dared to think about in the past. "Aoa, I can only help you this much. From now on, whether you can break through to the Earth Sage realm will depend on yourself." "Old ancestor, I understand." Long Batian was already very grateful to the old ancestor. Long Batian thought for a while and said, "Aoa, now that the 4 great organizations have retreated from the 9 regions, they have chosen to avoid you. Why don't you take this opportunity to raise your strength?" Hearing this, Long Batian wanted to laugh and cry. How could he not want to raise his strength quickly? However, Long Batian knew that he had just broken through to the Earth Sage realm and it would not be easy for him to raise his strength any further. The 8th level of the illusionary divine realm. He was only in the Earth Sage realm and was still a long way from the peak of the illusionary divine realm, which was the so-called Sage Emperor. However, Long Batian was not a fool. Since the old ancestor had said so, could it be that the old ancestor had a way to help him raise his strength quickly? If that was the case, he could not ask for more. Old ancestor, do you have a way? Nodding his head, Long Batian said, Aoa, although this method can allow you to raise your cultivation greatly in the shortest amount of time, it is very dangerous. If you are not careful, you will lose your life. Long Batian did not continue speaking, but the meaning behind his words was very clear. However, Long Ao did not even think about it and said directly, Old ancestor, I'm not afraid of any difficulties. Long Batian seemed to have guessed that Long Ao would say this, because he knew his disciple very well. Long Batian was unyielding and would never give up. Ancestor, what should I do? I can't help you. You should go find Master God Diviner. I'm sure he'll tell you what to do. Nodding, Long Ao stabilized his cultivation a little. Then, after making arrangements for the dragon sect, he immediately headed to the outer sea. If there was a teleportation array, it would only take a few seconds to go back and forth. However, the situation was completely different now. God knew how long it would take to go from Tianju to the outer sea. Long Ao did a rough calculation. If he wanted to travel from Tianju to the outer sea, especially the Crystal Palace at the bottom of the outer sea, he would need around 3 months. That would take half a year to travel back and forth, and that was not even counting the time he had wasted. Shrugging helplessly, Long Ao could only choose to go. His cultivation had successfully broken through to the Earth Saint realm. If he wanted to continue breaking through, it seemed that he could only find Master God Diviner. Long Ao knew very well that although the Dragon sect had become the #1 sect in the 9 states, the 4 great powers were still eyeing them covetously. No one knew when the 4 great powers would attack the sect. It was because of this that Long Ao was somewhat impatient. He wanted to increase his strength as quickly as possible. The 9 states were Tianju, Earth Dew, Sun Dew, Moon Dew, Sunset Dew, Cloud Dew, Crimson Dew, Huan Dew, and Black Forest Dew. After 2 months of traveling, Long Ao had already entered the Huan Dew, which was at the border. In other words, he would officially reach the outer sea in 10 days or so. From there, he would enter the seabed and head directly to the Crystal Palace. Within the Huan Dew, Long Ao had just stepped into the Huan Dew and arrived at a dense forest. His face turned cold as he said, Since you've been following me for so long, why don't you come out? Hehe, Long Ao, your senses are really strong. You can even sense this. It seems that your strength has improved again. Seemingly surprised, Tonglinga walked out with a smile. After thinking for a while, she said, Long Ao, I really didn't expect that in just a few months, your cultivation would have broken through to the Earth Saint realm. It seems that it won't be long before you officially reach the Great Emperor realm. Seeing Tonglinga suddenly appear, Long Ao finally let out a sigh of relief. Along the way, he had always felt that someone was following him. Long Ao thought that it was a powerful cultivator from the 4 great powers who wanted to assassinate him. He never thought that it would be Tonglinga. Why are you here? Tonglinga was Yu Yin's junior sister, so Long Ao had a good impression of her. Moreover, if it wasn't for Tonglinga's timely appearance during the battle at the Ethereal Palace, he believed that he wouldn't be standing here now. Tonglinga snorted coldly and said unhappily, What's wrong? Can't I come? Hearing this, Long Ao's face froze. Women are really unreasonable. Not continuing to dwell on this issue, Long Ao asked, You can come. You came to find me? Yes, I came to pass you a message and tell you about senior sister. But you have to promise me one thing. Otherwise, I won't tell you. What is it? Long Ao didn't immediately agree. Tonglinga was a mischievous girl. Who knew what she wanted him to promise? If she wanted him to commit suicide, would he have to agree? As if she could see Long Ao's thoughts, Tonglinga smiled and said, Long Ao, my request is very simple. As long as you promise me that you will let me follow you from now on, I will tell you about senior sister. How about it? I see. Logically speaking, what Tonglinga said wasn't a big problem. If it was under normal circumstances, It wouldn't be a problem at all. But now, the situation was different. He had to go to the outer sea and find the clairvoyant. The old ancestor had already said that this matter was very dangerous. The slightest carelessness could cost him his life. If he brought Tonglinga along and something happened to Tonglinga, how was he going to explain it to Yuin? Because of this, Longao didn't even think about it and rejected directly. Tonglinga, it's not a problem to follow me, but you have to go back to the dragon sect and wait for me. And I have to do something important, so I can't bring you along. So, without waiting for Longao to speak, Tonglinga snorted and said, "Fine, it's fine if you don't bring me along, but I don't think I need to tell you about senior sister's matter. Alright, you go do your thing. I still have very important things to do, so I won't bother you. Goodbye." Chapter 647. Tonglinga turned around and was about to leave, not even giving Longao a chance to speak. Things had already reached this stage. Would Longao still allow Tonglinga to leave? If it were anything else, Longao would definitely not be willing to know. However, if it was about Yu Yin, Longao would definitely not miss it. With spatial teleportation, Longao's figure instantly appeared in front of Tonglinga. She was very surprised. Looking at the figure that suddenly appeared in front of her, Tonglinga was very curious and asked, "How did you do it?" Tonglinga was a titled Great Emperor, and Longao was only an Earth Sage. Therefore, Tonglinga did not believe that Longao's speed could be faster than hers. "Tonglinga, if I let you follow me, you have to tell me about Yu Yin. Now, there is an additional condition. You have to tell me how you did it just now." Without waiting for Longao to speak, Tonglinga smiled and said, "Right now, I have the initiative. If you want to know what senior sister wants to bring you, then you have to be obedient." Otherwise, Tonglinga did not finish her sentence, but the meaning in her words was very clear. Although Longao was very angry and helpless, just as Tonglinga had said, she had the initiative now, so he could only agree. Ever since Yu Yin had left, Longao had rarely been able to obtain information about Yu Yin. Now that he finally had it, how could he give up such an opportunity? "I cultivate a spatial martial technique that can achieve short-distance teleportation. Tell me, what message did Yu Yin want you to bring me? Can I cultivate it?" No. Longao did not even consider spatial teleportation. This was not to say that he was stingy, but spatial teleportation required the 9 revolving samsara technique as a foundation. Otherwise, forcefully cultivating it would only harm oneself. Because of this, ever since Longao had obtained the spatial teleportation, he had never taught it to anyone. Helplessly shrugging her shoulders and sticking out her tongue, Tonglinga smiled and said, "Stingy brat, it's just a spatial martial skill. Let me tell you, in my sect, there are many powerful martial skills. If it wasn't for my lack of strength, I would have learned them long ago." Longao's heart skipped a beat when he heard Tonglinga's words. Even Tongling was not qualified to practice martial arts. What kind of existence was the sect that Tongling and Yu Yin belonged to? Of course, Longao knew Tonglinga's strength. She was a titled Great Emperor. It was because of this that he was even more shocked. If Tonglinga wasn't qualified to cultivate martial skills with her strength, wouldn't that mean that only divine Dao martial artists were qualified to cultivate martial skills? The more this was the case, the more curious Longao was. It seemed that the sect behind Yu Yin was not to be underestimated. Longao did not ask about the sect because he was very clear that if Tonglinga was willing to tell him, there was no need for him to ask. He believed that Tonglinga would tell him. If Tonglinga was not willing to tell him, then no matter what he said, he believed that Tonglinga would not tell him. "Since you have already promised me, then I will reluctantly tell you. Listen carefully. Before I came, senior sister Yu Yin asked me to pass you 6 sentences. Longao was completely focused, afraid that he would miss a word. He missed Yu Yin too much. He missed her all the time. Now that he finally had a clue, how could he choose to give it up so easily? Unforgettable grudges, unforgettable you. Only for love, only for you. Even if I go to the underworld, I will still have a dream. A wisp of my soul in heaven and earth. If you don't leave me, I will stay with you in life and death. Before I leave, senior sister Yu Yin. Before Tong Linga could finish speaking, she suddenly realized that the youth in front of her had stopped moving. He stood there in a daze, muttering something. Tong Linga was certain that at this moment, with Longao's current state, any random martial artist could easily deal with Longao. Tong Linga did not have the slightest contempt or disdain. Instead, she envied her senior sister. This was because the love between Longao and her senior sister was indeed worthy of respect. One had persisted for 10 years for love, while the other had waited bitterly for love. Sighing deeply in her heart, Tong Linga did not speak. She only stood there quietly, waiting. Unforgettable grudges, unforgettable you. Only if I go to the underworld, I will still have a dream. A wisp of my soul in heaven and earth. If you don't leave me, I will stay with you in life and death. Longao constantly recited these 6 sentences in his heart. Longao would never forget these 6 sentences in his entire life. Because when he had caused havoc in the Flowing Cloud sect for Yu Yin, at the critical moment of life and death, Yu Yin was not afraid of death and swore to live and die with him. In the end, she said these 6 sentences. Especially the last 2 sentences. If you don't leave me, I will stay with you in life and death. Longao's body even trembled slightly. Soon, Longao came back to his senses and said indifferently, "How is Yu Yin?" Tong Linga seemed to be able to sense the feelings between the two, so she did not continue to joke and said, "Longao, not long ago, senior sister entered a mysterious place in order to break through to the divine Tao realm as soon as possible. After asking around, I finally found out that this place has a high chance of survival. No matter who enters, the chances of survival are very small." "What did you say?" Looking at the murderous look in Longao's eyes, Tong Linga didn't know why, but she shivered. "Did your master force Yuin to do it?" "Master did not. Senior sister was willing to do this. But don't worry, before entering this place, master passed down the sect's treasures to senior sister, so senior sister will definitely return safely." Although that was the case, how could Longao be at ease? "Longao, senior sister is doing this for you. Master has already said that as long as senior sister's cultivation does not break through to the divine Tao realm, she can't come and see you." Longao already knew about this. Because of this, Longao felt more and more sorry for Yu Yin. Because if it were not for him, Yu Yin would not have to take the risk. Her life and death were unknown, but he was powerless. Before Longao could ask, Tong Linga had already said, "Don't ask me anything about the sect, because no matter what happens, I will not tell you." Staring at Tong Linga was even a little afraid. A titled Great Emperor was afraid of an Earth Sage martial artist. Even if this matter was spread out, no one would believe it. No matter what, the gap between a titled Great Emperor and an Earth Sage martial artist was too big. The two were not on the same level. But at this moment, when Tong Linga saw Longao staring at her, she was indeed scared. She quivered and shivered. Longao was very conflicted because he knew one thing. As long as he and Long Fu went all out, together with the chaos, they might be able to control Tong Linga. As long as he borrowed Long Fu's soul-searching technique, he believed that he could find out whatever he wanted to know. Chapter 648. The success rate of the soul-searching technique was very high. But could he really do that? If he really did that to Tong Linga, how would he explain it to Yu Yin in the future? In the end, Longao gave up on the soul-searching technique. "Longao, there's one more thing. Seeing that you have a good relationship with senior sister, I'll tell you." Longao's heart was tangled once again. He didn't know what else Yu Yin had that he didn't know. Senior sister Yu Yin is too outstanding. She's beautiful and extremely talented. Moreover, she has an ice-cold physique that's rarely seen in 10,000 years. According to Master, no matter who it is, as long as they can obtain senior sister, their strength will skyrocket. So, die. Hearing this, before Tong Linga could even finish speaking, an unparalleled murderous aura erupted from her body. Even Tong Linga's expression changed drastically. "Longao, are you all right? Continue." Deeply sighing in her heart, Tong Linga continued, "It's because of this that many geniuses want to obtain senior sister. So I advise you to quickly cultivate. Otherwise, senior sister will really become someone's wife. Anger overflowed the heavens. Longao entered the dragon seal space and said straightforwardly, Long Fu, I want strength. No matter what method you use, I want to raise my strength to the strongest in the shortest time possible. Master, calm down first. At this moment, a strange aura shot out from the dragon seal space and entered Longao's body. Gradually, the manic Longao slowly woke up. Master, are you better? Nodding his head, Longao felt a lingering fear. Because he understood what happened just now, but he couldn't control himself. Long Fu, it seems like it's because of the blood pool. Longao turned and looked at the giant blood pond not too far away. He knew that even though he had borrowed the power of the Chaos Stone tablets to forcefully suppress the blood pond, there would still be repercussions. For example, just now when he heard about Yu Yin, he had been immediately corroded by the blood pond. If it weren't for Long Fu promptly taking action, the consequences would have been unimaginable. Master, you still haven't completely expelled the power of the blood pool. So, no matter what, you must be careful. Once you are corroded by the blood pool once more, even the Chaos Stone tablet won't be able to suppress the blood pool. If that really happens, you will truly become a puppet of the blood pool. It would be a lie to say that he wasn't afraid. Longao knew very well what a blood pool meant. Without continuing, Longao left the dragon seal space and looked at Tonglinga in front of him. He wanted to tell her what had just happened, but in the end, he didn't say anything. Tonglinga, under normal circumstances, when will Yu Yin return to the sect? About 1 to 3 years. If there are no accidents, it should be 3 years. 3 years' time was enough. Longao was confident in himself. With his talent and potential, he would definitely be able to break through to the Supreme Dao realm within 3 years. At that time, no matter who stopped him, he would go to the mysterious sect and meet his Yu Yin. Tonglinga, you really want to follow me? Tonglinga nodded heavily. She didn't know why, but she seemed to be very interested in Longao. She said, just now, you already promised me. No matter what, you will let me follow you. You won't go back on your words, right? Of course not. Since that's the case, let's go. With a titled Great Emperor as his bodyguard, Longao wouldn't be able to find such a good thing unless there was water in his brain. Noon, the sun was scorching hot. The two had yet to walk out of the forest, but in front of them was a huge clear lake. After rushing for an entire day and night, the two were sweating profusely. Longao didn't feel much, but as a girl, Tonglinga seemed to be unable to bear it. Longao, I want to take a bath. Help me keep a lookout. I want to take a bath too. You're really shameless. Tonglinga, I realized that your thoughts are really impure. What I meant was that you should take a bath first, and then I'll take a bath after you. I'll keep a lookout for you first, and then you'll keep a lookout for me. Yet, you're thinking that way. Sigh, kids these days really have such thoughts. Longao's words caused Tonglinga's face to turn red. Immediately after, she ruthlessly kicked over. However, Longao dodged quickly and had already disappeared without a trace. Looking at the figure that had already left, Tonglinga's eyes suddenly became misty. Her thoughts were very complicated. In the end, Tonglinga undressed and slowly walked into the lake to take a bath. In the distance, Longao stood quietly in the same spot. He didn't even need to look to know that Tonglinga had already started to take a bath. With Tonglinga's strength, there was no need for him to keep a lookout. How many people would be so blind as to peek at a titled Great Emperor taking a bath? They were simply tired of living. From the beginning to the end, Longao didn't plan to bring Tonglinga to the outer sea. Firstly, the identity of the godly mathematician couldn't be known to outsiders. Secondly, the outer sea was filled with dangers. He didn't even know if he would survive alone, let alone if there was another person. Thirdly, the increase in cultivation speed that the old ancestor had mentioned was definitely not something simple. Therefore, with these 3 points added together, Longao had already decided not to bring Tonglinga along. It was also a good thing that Tonglinga was strong. At least he didn't have to worry about Tonglinga being taken advantage of when he left. Sorry, I'll definitely keep my promise next time. After saying this, Longao got up and left quickly. In the blink of an eye, he had already disappeared without a trace. Tonglinga, who was taking a bath in the lake, didn't know why her left eyelid twitched. She felt that something was about to happen, and she immediately put on her clothes. Looking at the empty space around her, Tonglinga instantly understood what had happened. Anger. Endless anger. As a titled Great Emperor, she had been played by a puny Earth Sage at this time. If this were to spread, where would she put her face? The unwillingness in her heart made Tonglinga clench her fists tightly. From the beginning to the end, she had never thought that Longao would go back on his promise and leave her behind. It was precisely because of this that Tonglinga had been too lax. She didn't even know that Longao had run away. After this operation, she didn't even know where to look for Longao. North, south, east, and west were everywhere. Where did Longao go? Tonglinga stomped her feet and suddenly roared furiously, Longao, just you wait. I won't let you off. You can run, but you can't hide. I'm going to the dragon sect now. I want to see if you can come back in this lifetime. Just you wait, I'll definitely let you know the consequences of playing with me. The more she thought about it, the angrier she got. The more she thought about it, the more unresigned she felt. She stomped her feet and clenched her fists tightly. Suddenly, Tonglinga seemed to have gone crazy. She swept her surroundings wildly like a tornado. The destructive power was too terrifying. This was a titled Great Emperor. It wasn't something to be messed around with. Her strength was real. Chapter 649. Longao, who had already left, suddenly stopped. He turned to look in the direction of the lake and fiercely swallowed his saliva. At this moment, Longao could completely imagine how angry Tonglinga was. But there was no other way. This trip to the outer sea was filled with danger. He could not bring Tonglinga along. Taking a deep breath, Longao did not continue to hesitate. He immediately turned and quickly left. Half a month later, Longao rushed to the outer sea. Looking at the endless sea, his heart was surging. Taking out the water avoidance pearl from his bosom, Longao knew very well that although he had already reached the outer sea, it would still take a few days to reach the Crystal Palace from here. From Tianju to here, and then to the Crystal Palace, it would take about 3 months. Many things could happen in 3 months. The 4 great forces had already retreated from the spirit realm of the 9 states. It seemed that they had withdrawn from the fight for the 9 states. But no one knew when the 4 great forces would attack the sect. Therefore, he had to return to the sect as quickly as possible to deal with the 4 great forces. Holding the water avoidance pearl, Longao directly entered the outer sea. Longao rushed towards the Crystal Palace at the fastest speed. However, he had been very careful ever since he had entered the outer sea. He had been vigilant all the time. After all, he still had his biggest enemy in the outer sea. It was the golden tiger shark. Not to mention the 5 golden tiger sharks, just the heavenly god golden tiger shark alone could easily kill him. The reason why he and the old ancestor could safely leave was mainly because of the divine beast water dragon. But even so, the 2 divine beasts were about the same in strength. It would not be easy to determine the winner. What he was afraid of really happened. Longao entered the outer sea. Not long after, he encountered 5 golden tiger sharks. Longao even suspected that the golden tiger sharks had been waiting in the outer sea, waiting for him at all times. Otherwise, it would be impossible for him to be chased by 5 golden tiger sharks as soon as he stepped into the outer sea. 5 golden tiger sharks, and one of them was a genuine divine beast. Longao didn't dare to face the 5 gold tiger sharks head-on. Even though he was in the water, he still used spatial teleportation one after another. Under normal circumstances, the speed of an Earth Sage was incomparable to that of a divine beast. However, Longao's situation was completely different. With spatial teleportation, even if it was a divine beast, it would be difficult to catch up with Longao. This was the power of spatial teleportation. Because of this, Longao rushed to the territory of the water dragon as fast as he could. As expected, the moment Longao stepped into the divine beast water dragon's territory, the 5 golden tiger sharks didn't dare to act blindly without thinking. This was because the old ancestor and the divine beast water dragon had completely fallen out. If they went in at this time, the divine beast water dragon would go crazy and kill them. The 5 golden tiger sharks didn't continue to chase after him. Longao also let out a long sigh of relief. As soon as he stepped in, Longao's face froze, as if he found it hard to believe. It turned out that the 2 divine beasts were fighting to the death in the distance. What was going on? Longao calculated the time. It had been about half a month since he and the old ancestor left the outer sea. Could it be that the water dragon and the divine beast water dragon had been fighting for half a month? Thinking of this, Longao admired the 2 divine beasts very much. At the same time, Longao also knew one thing, and that was that the strength of the divine beast water dragon and the divine beast golden tiger shark were almost the same. Otherwise, the 2 great divine beasts would not be able to fight for half a month without a winner being decided. Longao's aura was instantly sensed by the 2 divine beasts. Human, you still dare to come back? I'll tear you into pieces. Shameless thing, with just you. The water dragon roared, not giving the golden tiger shark any chance. At this time, the 2 divine beasts had already transformed into human form. The water dragon was also a young man with a more feminine appearance. At this moment, the water dragon was very depressed because it couldn't understand why Longao, who had left, would come back. However, Longao ignored the golden tiger shark's threat. With the water dragon entangling the golden tiger shark, he could sit back and relax. Smiling, Longao said, "Senior water dragon, I'm here to look for senior divine diviner, so I'll go first. I'll come back later to help you." Look for divine diviner? The water dragon was unhappy at first, but when it heard that Longao was going to look for divine diviner, its attitude changed instantly. It pushed the golden tiger shark back and said, "Go, you don't need to come back. I'm more than enough to deal with a small golden tiger shark. Boast your grandpa. Boast your grandpa." Not to be outdone, the water dragon became more energetic. Divine beasts were indeed divine beasts. After fighting for half a month, the 2 divine beasts didn't feel tired at all. They were still full of energy. Not to mention half a month, it wouldn't be a big problem even if they continued to fight for a year and a half. The golden tiger shark and the water dragon had a big grudge to begin with. Now, the 2 divine beasts seemed like they wouldn't give up until there was a winner. Longao didn't have time to accompany the 2 divine beasts. He was very anxious, so after staying for a while, he got up and left quickly. In the blink of an eye, he had disappeared without a trace. "Brat, don't you fucking leave. You're nothing." The divine beast water dragon stirred up trouble again and again. The golden tiger shark had long been enraged to the extreme. Its attacks were even more vicious. Just like this, the battle between the 2 divine beasts had also reached a white-hot stage. The outcome could be decided at any time. Because of this, the 2 divine beasts didn't dare to be careless in the slightest. They knew that in a battle like this, if they were careless, they would be obliterated. In the worst case, they wouldn't even have the chance to reincarnate. They were completely focused, and exerted all of their strength. Longao left quickly. Half an hour later, he arrived at the Crystal Palace without a hitch. Longao had come to the Crystal Palace 3 times, but each time, his state of mind was different. Before Longao could do anything, the Crystal Palace's door opened automatically, and the voice of Master God Diviner came out from within. "Since you're here, come in." Longao wasn't happy at all. Even now, he still didn't know what the old ancestor's plan was. After entering the Crystal Palace, Longao saw Master God Diviner sitting in the middle of the hall. He didn't look very well. Bowing respectfully, he said, "Senior Master God Diviner, the old ancestor sent me to find you. I want to get as strong as possible as soon as possible. I hope Senior Master God Diviner can help me." Master God Diviner nodded. Apparently he had already divined this, and wasn't surprised at all. "I thought you'd come a year later. Who would have thought you'd come ahead of time?" Chapter 650. The clairvoyant master already knew? Longao smiled. He was not surprised at all. He had already guessed that the clairvoyant master would be able to predict that he would come looking for him. The clairvoyant master's Tao of divination was indeed impressive. He could predict everything. Senior clairvoyant master, since you already know, I would like to know what I should do. Longao did not want to dawdle and went straight to the point. Longao could not wait any longer. Martial artists were divided into 7 realms. They were the Hutian realm, Xiantian realm, Metamorphosis realm, Nihility realm, Illusionary divine realm, Emperor realm, and Divine realm. The illusionary divine realm was further divided into 8 realms. From lowest to highest, they were the Half-Sage realm, Sage realm, Earth Sage realm, Sky Sage realm, Sage King realm, Sage Emperor realm, Sage Venerable realm, and Sage Emperor realm. He had just broken through to the Earth Sage realm. He had not even reached the peak of the illusionary divine realm, let alone the Emperor realm. The 4 superpowers could attack the sect at any time. Hence, Longao knew that he had to break through as soon as possible and return to Tianju. The clairvoyant master seemed to know this too. He nodded and said, "Your ancestor was unable to complete the test back then. I hope you can do it." So the ancestor had also tried it. The more it was so, the more serious Longao became. If even the ancestor was unable to pass, then he knew how dangerous the test was. Longao, the test is very simple. There are 3 stages. Longao did not speak. He only listened quietly. For the first stage, you have to do everything you can to participate in the Divine Tao secret realm that is held once every 3 years. You have to obtain something from there. As for the remaining 2 stages, after you complete the first stage, I will naturally tell you what to do next. Senior clairvoyant master, the 3 stages are not a problem. I just want to know what benefits I will get if I can pass the 3 stages. Benefits were paramount. Longao did not think that he was a gentleman. No matter what, he had come to the outer sea to increase his strength. He was not here to take risks. Therefore, Longao was most concerned about benefits. Longao, I know what you're thinking. It's very simple. As long as you pass through the 3 trials, you'll obtain a corresponding amount of power with each trial. Under normal circumstances, you should be able to break through to Saint Emperor if you can successfully pass through the 3 trials. Whether you can reach Saint Emperor or not will depend on your fortune, Jian Chen said. Great Emperor realm? Hearing this, Longao was overjoyed. If that was the case, then any danger would be worth it. Longao, if you go directly to the mythical island, let alone participate in the so-called mythical island secret land, I believe you won't even be able to leave the mythical island alive. Therefore, you must first go to the other islands to get the key to the mythical island secret land. How do I get it? I can only tell you this much. As for the rest, you'll have to rely on yourself. Nodding his head, Longao did not continue speaking. He turned around and quickly left. Only Master Godly Mathematician was left in the lobby of the Crystal Palace. At this time, a powerful fluctuation came from the Crystal Palace. Then, Tian Dao's figure suddenly appeared. Master Godly Mathematician, it's been many years since we last met. I trust you've been well. Master Godly Mathematician wasn't the slightest bit surprised. He smiled and said, "Your current status is different, so of course you don't remember me. Do you need something from me this time?" Tian Dao was very unhappy, but he was afraid of Master Godly Mathematician's strength. He could only endure it. In the entire martial heaven continent, there was only one person who could threaten his position. That person was Master Godly Mathematician. If he said he didn't want to eliminate Master Godly Mathematician, then he would be lying. Tian Dao constantly wanted to eliminate Tian Dao and become the true number 1 person in the world. However, as long as Master Godly Mathematician was alive, he wouldn't be able to do that. Although he hated Master Godly Mathematician to the extreme, Tian Dao smiled and said, "I won't forget your enmity for the rest of my life. This time, I came to ask you to help me with something. This matter is extremely important to me. Tell me." Not long ago, someone entered Spirit Beast Island and used a scheme to take away the core energy. I'm sure you know what that core energy represents. There can't be a third one in this world. So I want you to help me calculate just who it was that took away the core energy. Master Godly Mathematician sneered inside. He had long since known about this matter, but he wouldn't tell Tian Dao. I already divined that person's fate, but it's a complete blur. I can't calculate it. Hearing this, Tian Dao's face instantly turned gloomy. It was as ugly as it could get because he knew very well what it meant to not be able to calculate one's fate. You really can't calculate it. There's no way around it. Before you came, I already divined this matter. That person's fate is a complete blur. However, Tian Dao, I think you're worrying too much. Even if that person was able to obtain the core energy, merging with it won't be easy. It's better to be safe than sorry. I want to eliminate all possibilities. How could Master Godly Mathematician not know what Tian Dao meant? After all, once someone merged with the core energy and reached the pinnacle of martial arts, they would threaten Tian Dao's position. Tian Dao couldn't be blamed, because no matter who it was, they would do the same. Tian Dao, do you still remember what I said to you when you merged with the core energy? I remember. You told me that once I became Tian Dao, I would become the ruler of the world. I can't do it for myself, but for the world. After so many years, I've already done what you said. Did you really do it? I did it. Master Godly Mathematician and Tian Dao stared at each other. Both of them could see the dissatisfaction in each other's eyes. However, both of them were deeply afraid of each other. So, before they were fully confident, they wouldn't make a move. Tian Dao, I can't calculate that person's fate, but I can tell you his general whereabouts. Tell me quickly. Tian Dao was pleasantly surprised. In the entire world, there was only one person who possessed the core energy. No matter what happened, he had to kill that person to eliminate future troubles. Outer Sea. The Heavenly Dao already knew about the Outer Sea. However, the Heavenly Dao was extremely depressed because the Outer Sea was vast and boundless. Even if he was the Heavenly Dao, it was too difficult to find a single person in the vast sea of people. Can you determine the specific location of this person? There's no way, but I can calculate it. If there's no accident, you should be able to find this person in this year's competition. I can only tell you this much. Please leave. An eviction order. Seeing that Master Godly Mathematician had already given the eviction order, Tian Dao's heart was filled with unhappiness and anger. But in the end, he could only leave. P.S. F***CK. I don't feel like writing these days. It's like I'm on my period. My mood is extremely irritable. My balls hurt. I'll try to adjust tomorrow. Chapter 651. Outer Sea, Inside the Crystal Palace. Looking at the disappearing Tian Dao, the corners of the divine mathematician's mouth slowly curved into a meaningful smile. Longao, I hope you can successfully pass through. Otherwise, you are not qualified to be my successor. Tian Dao, Tian Dao, Tian Dao. After saying Tian Dao 3 times in a row, the divine mathematician's face was a little lonely. He muttered to himself, I hope it's not too late. Longao, you are my only chance. After leaving the Crystal Palace, Tian Dao turned around and stared deeply at the Crystal Palace in front of him. Clenching his fists tightly, his body exuded a strong murderous aura and anger. Because in this world, only one person could threaten his position, and that person was the divine mathematician. If it was an ordinary warrior at the peak of martial arts, Tian Dao might not be afraid, but the divine mathematician's situation was completely different. The divine mathematician had not only stepped onto the peak of martial arts, but also mastered the Tao of divination. Everything was in the palm of his hand. More importantly, Tian Dao could not see the divine mathematician's strength at all. The more mysterious the divine mathematician was, the more Tian Dao feared him. The more Tian Dao feared him, the more he did not dare to casually deal with the divine mathematician. Tian Dao did not continue to dwell on the divine mathematician. He knew very well that no matter what, he had to kill the person who had stolen the origin energy. Outer Sea, Divine Dao Secret Realm. Tian Dao did not doubt or question the divine mathematician's words. Others might not know what the divine mathematician represented, but Tian Dao knew. As the strongest person in the world, the divine mathematician's Tao of divination was something that even he had to admire. Tian Dao suddenly disappeared. Longao, who had left the Crystal Palace for a long time, did not leave the seabed. Instead, he returned to the territory of the divine beast, the water dragon. Looking at the two divine beasts who were still fighting back and forth, Longao was also extremely nervous. Because the battle between the water dragon and the divine beast, the golden tiger shark, had reached a white-hot stage. The outcome could be decided at any time. Whether the water dragon or the divine beast, the golden tiger shark would win, would not be known until the final step. Sneering, Longao didn't choose to leave because he wanted to help the water dragon deal with the golden tiger shark. No matter what, if it wasn't for him, Longao believed that the divine beast water dragon wouldn't have fought with the divine beast golden tiger shark. He couldn't be too unkind. If he left, Longao would feel sorry for himself. Suddenly, Longao made his move. Regarding Longao's intention, whether it was the divine beast water dragon or the divine beast golden tiger shark, both of them knew clearly. Not to mention the divine beast golden tiger shark, even the divine beast water dragon was not optimistic about Longao's chances. After all, Longao's strength was too low. He was only an earth saint. An earth saint was not on the same level as a divine beast. The two could not be mentioned in the same breath. But even so, Longao still attacked without hesitation. The powerful chi of heaven and earth fiercely pressed down, causing the golden tiger shark to be shocked, because the golden tiger shark knew very well what the chi of heaven and earth represented. Nirvana rebirth. Not giving the golden tiger shark any chance, at this time, a huge dragon shadow suddenly appeared behind Longao's back. Immediately after, a dragon roar resounding throughout the entire seabed. An innate divine ability. Long family's innate divine ability was something that everyone in the martial heaven continent, including all the divine beasts, knew. The golden tiger shark had never imagined that such a small human would possess such an innate divine ability. It didn't dare to be careless. But at this moment, it suddenly found that its body had been locked down, and the flow of time had begun to reverse. Just what was going on? The golden tiger shark naturally knew that its body had been locked down, and the flow of time had begun to reverse because of its opponent's innate divine ability. Releasing its powerful divine beast energy, the golden tiger shark tried to break free as quickly as possible. But at this time, the water dragon once more attacked. If it was hit, the golden tiger shark would definitely die. But no matter what, the golden tiger shark was a genuine heavenly god. If it was killed so easily, then the golden tiger shark wouldn't be the golden tiger shark. Without waiting for the water dragon to attack, the golden tiger shark forcibly broke free and turned to flee. In the blink of an eye, it had vanished without a trace. The golden tiger shark had fled. Looking at the gradually disappearing figure, whether it was Longao or the divine beast water dragon, both of them expressed that they couldn't understand. Because the strength of the golden tiger shark was there, once the golden tiger shark chose to meet force with force, who knows who would win and who would lose. However, with the gold tiger shark escaping, Longao also heaved a long sigh of relief. Longao, what is your innate divine ability called? Longao naturally knew what the water dragon meant. He nodded. Senior water dragon, the innate divine ability I've awakened is called Dragon Roar. It has the ability to lock down opponents. Lock down opponents. In other words, the innate divine ability you've awakened is a spatial divine ability. This is one of the strongest innate divine abilities. It's no wonder the divine diviner favors you so much. You really are not bad. Longao smiled but didn't say anything. Longao, why did you come here this time? I came to find Senior Divine Diviner to talk about something. It's already settled. Senior Water Dragon, I might not leave the outer sea for a while. If the golden tiger shark comes for revenge, I'll be there. At this point, Longao did not continue speaking, but the meaning in his words was already very clear. Longao wasn't a fool. He naturally knew what a heavenly god golden tiger shark represented. According to the divine diviner, his first task was to go to the mythical island and obtain the key to the mythical island's secret realm. In other words, He had to stay on the mythical island for a long time. If the golden tiger shark came for revenge, how would he deal with it? How could the water dragon not understand the other party's meaning? After thinking about it, it finally agreed. I'll give you a dragon scale. Remember, if you encounter danger, you can burn the dragon scale. You only have one chance. Use it carefully. The water dragon wasn't giving Longao a chance. It was giving face to the divine diviner. Although it didn't know the relationship between the divine diviner and Longao, the water dragon was very clear about the divine diviner's temperament. Ordinary people wouldn't go to the Crystal Palace 3 times. Just this point alone was worth helping. Receiving the dragon scale from the water dragon, Longao was pleasantly surprised. With the water dragon's promise, Longao was relieved. Even if the golden tiger shark came to find trouble with him, he had the dragon scale in his hand. He could summon the water dragon at will. It seemed like he could sit back and relax. Many thanks, Senior Water Dragon. If there's nothing else, I'll take my leave first. Go. Be careful. Nodding, Longao didn't linger. He turned and left quickly. Chapter 652. There were countless islands in the outer sea. This was Longao's second time here and he was familiar with the place. Longao's first stop was the Cloud Island. He hoped to borrow the power of the Long family to obtain the key to the mysterious island. Although he didn't know what the mysterious land of the Divine Island was, Longao was very clear that he had to enter the mysterious land of the Divine Island. According to the clairvoyant master, once he passed the 3 stages, he would be able to break through the peak of the illusionary divine stage and even reach the realm of a great emperor. Therefore, the 3 stages were extremely important to him. Just as Longao stepped into the Cloud Island, he received news that the Long family no longer existed. What exactly happened? After asking around, Longao finally knew what had happened. Wang Hao and Yang Jian had joined forces to attack the Long family. The Long family had no choice but to leave the Cloud Island. Hearing that the Long family was safe, Longao heaved a sigh of relief. The Long family had given them a warning. Otherwise, they would have died if they wanted to fight against Wang Hao and Yang Jian. However, both Wang Hao and Yang Jian were powerful Rebirth Realm martial artists who could break through any time. If the Long family did not leave, they would have been wiped out by the 2 of them. If one did not remove the roots, they would grow again. This was the consequence of not killing Wang Hao and Yang Jian. Longao was more worried. Once the 2 of them awakened their souls and broke through to the Supreme Tao realm, would he be able to stop them? Although he already had thousands of Supreme Tao inheritances, when the time was right, thousands of Supreme Tao martial artists would appear in the sect. However, no one knew when the 2 of them would awaken their souls and become Supreme Tao martial artists. It was precisely because of this that Longao had already decided that no matter what, he had to kill these 2 people and get rid of all future troubles once and for all. Since the Long family was no longer on the Cloud Island, there was no point for him to stay. Where did Long Heng bring the Long family to? The outer sea was boundless and there were countless islands. It was like looking for a needle in a haystack to find traces of the Long family. After leaving the Cloud Island, Longao did not search for the Long family aimlessly. He knew that since Long Heng wanted to leave, he would definitely leave some traces behind. As expected. Senior Longao, the young master asked me to bring you to him. Seeing one of the fishermen speak carefully, Longao felt joy in his heart. Long Heng was so smart. He knew that he would not be able to find them when he returned, so he purposely left behind clues. Nodding, Longao did not have the slightest doubt. He followed the fisherman onto the average-sized boat and slowly sailed towards the sea. On the sea. You're from the Long family? The fisherman was in his 30s and had a coarse appearance. He was only a Xiantian martial artist, which was why Longao admired him so much. Senior Longao, I am indeed a member of the Long clan. Ever since you left, Yang Jian and Wang Hao have been preparing to exterminate my Long clan. Left with no choice, the clan head and young master could only lay low for the time being. So that's how it is. Longao already knew about this, but he did not ask where the Long family was. He knew that since Longheng had already made the arrangements, he believed that this person would bring him there. Thank you, Senior Longao, for your help. The fisherman was pleasantly surprised. He had never expected that the legend in front of him had just helped him break through his cultivation. Since then, his strength had increased by leaps and bounds. How could he not be grateful? Longao waved his hand, walked to the other side, sat down, and began to cultivate quietly. The nameless island was deserted. However, a few months ago, the nameless island suddenly welcomed a large number of people. There were about 10,000 people, and they were the Long clan who had left the Cloud Island. Long Bai and Long Hung were still afraid. If they had not left the Cloud Island in time, the Long clan would have been slaughtered by Wang Hao and Yang Zhen. Not a single person would have been left alive. What surprised Long Bai the most was that his son, who used to be a good-for-nothing, had really broken through the illusionary divine stage and reached the half-sage stage in just a few months. He was also the first half-sage martial artist in the Long clan. As for the Long clan's strength, Long Bai was extremely excited. With 10 holy beasts guarding the island, the Long clan could ignore anyone unless the powerful island or the God's Island attacked them personally. The nameless island was temporarily called Dragon Island. It was extremely secluded, and unless someone from the Long clan personally led the way, they would not be able to find it. Long Ao's appearance caused the entire Long clan to be extremely excited. However, Long Bai did not give anyone else the chance. He immediately led Long Ao into the main hall. "Master, why are you back?" Long Hung was very curious when he saw his master suddenly appear. According to his master, he would need a long time to return. "But now, I have something important to do. I want to ask you, have you heard of the God's Island Secret Realm?" God's Island Secret Realm? Both Long Bai and Long Hung's expressions changed when they heard these words. Long Bai asked impatiently, "Master Long, why did you suddenly mention the God's Island Secret Realm?" "Because I want to enter the God's Island Secret Realm." Long Bai swallowed hard and continued to ask, "Master Long, do you know what kind of place the God's Island Secret Realm is?" Long Bai was extremely depressed when he saw Long Ao shake his head. He could not understand why Long Ao would want to enter the God's Island Secret Realm if he did not even know what it was. However, Long Bai did not dare to say anything. Instead, he said, "Master Long, the God's Island Secret Realm is a forbidden area of the God's Island. No one is allowed to enter the God's Island Secret Realm. Those who violate this rule will be killed without mercy." Long Ao nodded. He had already guessed this point. If the God's Island Secret Realm could be entered as one wished, then the entire outer seas could be entered as one wished. If that was really the case, then the Oracle's test was a little too simple. "Tell me about the God's Island Secret Realm." Long Bai and Long Hung both knew that their master had already decided to enter the God's Island Secret Realm. The two of them looked at each other and saw a trace of helplessness in each other's eyes. Long Bai thought for a moment, then finally said, "Master Long, there are countless islands in the outer seas. The God's Island is a supreme existence that dominates the outer seas. No one dares to go against it. Every 3 years, the God's Island Secret Realm will send out a summoning order to the God's Island Secret Realm. Legend has it that the God's Island Secret Realm has many treasures and a mysterious power that can help cultivators increase their strength quickly. However, it is also very dangerous. Even so, every time the God's Island Secret Realm opens, countless people will fight to the death for the sake of 100 or so keys." 100 keys was indeed a drop in the bucket for the entire outer seas. It was nothing. Long Ao could completely imagine how desperate it would be for the countless people on the countless islands in the outer seas to fight over 100 keys. Chapter 653. No matter how tragic the Divine Island Secret Realm was, Long Ao had already decided to go to the Divine Island. "Then what should I do to get the key?" Overlord Long, the mysterious territory of the mythical island will be held every 3 years. Every time, the mythical island will set up many checkpoints on the 8 surrounding islands. Everyone can participate and enter the 8 islands. Those who can break through the checkpoints and reach the top 100 will get a key. So that's how it is. "Master Long, This year's Divine Island Secret Realm will begin in half a month. Okay, I will leave in 3 days. Looking at Longao, who seemed to want to say something, Longao said, if you have something to say, say it. Master, according to the rumors, the Divine Island Secret Realm is incomparably dangerous. Just the key to enter the Divine Island Secret Realm is not easy to obtain. Longao waved his hand. Before Longao could finish his words, Longao had already said, I know what to do. Just do your job well. Longao shrugged helplessly. Seeing that his master had already made up his mind, he could only keep quiet. For the next 3 days, Longao focused on cultivating and guiding Longao in his cultivation. During these 3 days, Longao roughly understood the situation of the outer islands through Longao and Longbai. After all, he would have to come into contact with many people on the outer islands in order to compete for the 100 or so keys. The outer islands were boundless. No one knew how many islands there were in the outer islands, nor did they know if there were any hidden superforces in the outer islands. However, the strongest force on the surface was the Divine Island, the so-called overlord of the outer islands. Under the Divine Island, there were 10 islands: Universe Island, Setting Sun Island, Rising Cloud Island, Azura Island, Dark Night Island, Heartless Island, Death Island, Star Moon Island, Extinguished Sun Island, and Lone Star Island. Each of the top 10 islands was very powerful. They could easily crush Yundao with just a finger. This was the power of the top 10 islands. Longao knew very well that the 10 islands would send their strongest disciples for this year's Divine Island Secret Realm. At that time, it would not be easy to snatch the key. The top 10 islands. According to Longbai, every time the Divine Island's Secret Realm opened, the main competitors were the top 10 islands. The disciples of the other islands rarely had a chance to enter. 3 days later, Longao left the Dragon Island alone and headed for the so-called 8 Great Islands to participate in the struggle over the keys. Longao's cultivation had successfully broken through to the Earth Saint realm. Unless he encountered a heaven-defying martial artist, he was confident that he would be able to obtain the key to enter the mysterious realm of the Divine Island. On the sea, a fierce wind suddenly rose, and the waves surged to the sky. Longao's ship wasn't very big, so it was directly smashed by a wave. Helpless, he could only brace against the waves and strong winds, forcibly flying forward. Unless it was absolutely necessary, Longao would never enter the seabed because there were 5 golden tiger sharks and a heavenly god realm golden tiger shark at the bottom of the sea. Longao knew that he only had 1 dragon scale and could not use it easily. With such fierce winds and torrential waves, as long as he did not enter the seabed, he believed that the golden tiger sharks would not appear. As long as he successfully reached the 8 Great Islands, he would be completely safe. However, it was better to be safe than sorry. It was true that whatever he feared would happen. At this time, the entire sea suddenly roiled and 6 golden tiger sharks suddenly appeared. One of them was a heavenly god golden tiger shark. When enemies meet, their eyes turn red. Human, I want to see how you will escape from my grasp today. Looking at the 6 golden tiger sharks in front of him, Longao's expression was extremely ugly. Although his cultivation had officially broken through to the Earth Saint realm, Longao was very clear that with his current strength, it was impossible for him to be a match for the 6 golden tiger sharks. Could it be that he had to use the dragon scale? Not wanting to delay any longer, the 6 golden tiger sharks had already attacked. The flirtatious young man watched coldly. In his opinion, his grandson was enough to kill this human. There was no need for him to do anything. Fierce winds rose, lightning flashed, and thunder rumbled. Longao, who was about to attack, suddenly found that his body could not move. What happened? Suddenly, a black shadow shot out from Longao's dantian. It was a small black stone tablet. In the blink of an eye, it turned into a huge stone tablet and blocked the 5 golden tiger sharks in front of it. Looking at the sky-piercing stone tablet in front of them, not only the 5 golden tiger sharks, but even the flirtatious young man's expression changed. As if he had thought of something, his eyes revealed a trace of greed, and his face was filled with joy. The primal chaos stone tablet emitted a powerful aura. At this time, dazzling golden words shot out from the tablet. The martial skill contained within the primal chaos stone tablet had already appeared for the third time. However, Longao still could not understand it. But now, Longao's mind suddenly suffered a heavy blow. However, Longao was not worried at all. Instead, he was pleasantly surprised. Because he did not know what was going on, he had been unable to comprehend a supreme martial skill. At this time, he finally succeeded. And a martial skill appeared in Longao's mind. It was a martial skill called the 5 Elements Heaven Swallowing Art. 5 Elements Heaven Swallowing Art. The 5 Elements Heaven Swallowing Art was divided into 5 major arts. They were metal, wood, water, fire, and earth. Each art was all-encompassing. Although he had just obtained the 5 Elements Heaven Swallowing Art and had not even had the time to comprehend it, Longao already knew how powerful it was. If he could cultivate it to the peak, he could even use it to swallow the heavens and the earth. He could even look down on the heavens and swallow the sun and moon. As expected of the 5 Elements Heaven Swallowing Art, as expected of the supreme martial skill contained within the primal chaos stone tablet. However, Longao did not dare to be careless. At this time, there were 6 golden tiger sharks in front of him. The slightest carelessness would cause him to be consigned to eternal damnation. But he was unable to move. He could only watch as the 5 golden tiger sharks charged at him. Was he going to die like this? He had just obtained the 5 Elements Heaven Swallowing Art from the primal chaos stone tablet. But now, he was going to die here. Longao was unwilling. Kill him for me. The seductive youth wanted nothing more than to kill this person immediately. That was because he knew very well what the primal chaos stone tablet represented. That was why the seductive youth had never imagined that a puny human would possess the legendary primal chaos stone tablet. As a heavenly god-level golden tiger shark, he knew very well what the primal chaos stone tablet represented. There were 12 primal chaos stone tablets in the world. Anyone who could obtain one of the primal chaos stone tablets could become the strongest martial artist in the world. Staring at the primal chaos stone tablet in front of him, before the seductive youth could react, the 5 golden tiger sharks that had already charged forward were suddenly frozen in place. They were unable to move. Their faces were filled with fear. Chapter 654. Catcher. The primal chaos stone tablet suddenly shot out 5 rays of light. Before the 5 golden tiger sharks could react, they were swallowed by the light. Fiercely swallowing his saliva, the young man was very afraid of the primal chaos stone tablet. Could it be that he had to leave just like that? With the 5 golden tiger sharks as an example, the young man did not dare to act rashly and recklessly attack the other party. The young man was very unwilling to leave just like that. After all, the stone tablet in front of him was the legendary primal chaos stone tablet. Once he obtained it, he could become the strongest beast in the world. Leave. Not leave. For a moment, the young man did not know how to choose. Longao, who had just been frozen, suddenly felt that his body could move. He was overjoyed and tried to sense the primal chaos stone tablet. But no matter what, he could not sense the primal chaos stone tablet. Actually, the reason why Longao had been able to comprehend the 5 elements heaven-devouring art contained within the primal chaos stone tablet was something that had happened naturally. The primal chaos stone tablet was the most mysterious and powerful existence in the world. Even if someone could obtain the primal chaos stone tablet, if they could not make the tablet recognize them as their master, then even if the 5 elements heaven-swallowing art was in front of them, they would not be able to understand it. This was also the real reason why Longao could not understand the 5 elements heaven-swallowing art the first 2 times. After being recognized by the primal chaos stone tablet, Longao successfully comprehended the 5 elements heaven-swallowing art in the primal chaos stone tablet. Strictly speaking, the 5 elements heaven-swallowing art was both a cultivation method and a martial skill. The two combined into one, it could be considered the strongest cultivation method and martial skill in the world. Before successfully comprehending the 5 elements heaven-swallowing art, Longao had already decided that whether or not he could comprehend the primal chaos stone tablet in the future, he would persist in cultivating the 9 revolving reincarnation technique. Without knowing why, Longao always had a feeling that the dragon seal he obtained was stronger than the primal chaos stone tablet. Intuition. Longao had always trusted his intuition. The primal chaos stone tablet could not return to his dantian. In other words, he could not leave. Although the primal chaos stone tablet had swallowed 5 golden tiger sharks, there was still a heavenly god-level golden tiger shark. Once the primal chaos stone tablet disappeared, how could he resist the golden tiger shark? It seemed he could only use the dragon scale. Master, by borrowing the power of the primal chaos stone tablet, you can fuse the blood-sucking blade with the golden tiger shark. At that time, the blade can continue to upgrade. What should I do? If an ordinary person dared to say such words to him, Longao would have directly sent them flying. However, Long Fu was different. Ever since he had obtained the Long Fu space, Long Fu had always been full of confidence. Therefore, this time, Longao still chose to believe. Master, the golden tiger shark has already been locked onto by the primal chaos stone tablet. So at this time, as long as the golden tiger shark attacks you, it will definitely be attacked by the primal chaos stone tablet. Then how should the blood-sucking blade deal with the golden tiger shark? It would be a lie to say that he wasn't excited. Of course, Longao knew what a heavenly god-level golden tiger shark represented. Once it was fused with the wild draw blade, there was no need for Long Fu to say anything. He also knew that the wild draw blade would continue to level up. Master, release the blood-sucking blade. When the time comes, the blood-sucking blade will automatically devour you. Nodding his head, Longao chose to believe in Long Fu. Without any hesitation, he threw out the wild draw blade. And at this time, Longao directly used his palm as a blade and fiercely chopped towards the golden tiger shark, taking the initiative to attack. The flirtatious youth was completely dumbfounded, because he never thought that Longao would choose to take the initiative to attack. The difference in strength between them was too great. They were simply not on the same level. Easily dodging, the flirtatious youth's face was filled with contempt and disdain. He shot forward like an arrow. However, with the previous example, the flirtatious youth naturally wouldn't touch the primal chaos stone tablet. Instead, he prepared to go around the primal chaos stone tablet to kill it and slowly study it. But the flirtatious youth still miscalculated. Just as Long Fu said, from the moment the primal chaos stone tablet appeared, he had already been locked onto by it. So as long as he moved, the primal chaos stone tablet would think that he was attacking it. The result could be imagined. If it was several months ago, the primal chaos stone tablet wouldn't take the initiative to attack. Wang Hao was the best example. But now, the situation was completely different. The primal chaos stone tablet was the strongest existence in the world. It had its own spirituality. At this time, it had already chosen to recognize a master. Then, once it appeared, no matter who it was, as long as they were locked onto by the primal chaos stone tablet, unless they didn't move and waited for the primal chaos stone tablet to disappear, they would all be devoured by the primal chaos stone tablet. Although the primal chaos stone tablet had already recognized a master, it wasn't under Longao's control. In other words, when the primal chaos stone tablet appeared, even Longao didn't know. The flirtatious youth could be considered unlucky. At this time, he encountered the primal chaos stone tablet and even recklessly attacked Longao. He was seeking his own death and he couldn't blame anyone else. Even if the flirtatious youth was a heavenly god realm god beast, in front of the primal chaos stone tablet, he wasn't even worth a fart. His body was instantly frozen. As if he could guess what was about to happen, the flirtatious youth's face turned gloomy and he was terrified to the extreme. Impossible, this is impossible. At this time, the primal chaos stone tablet shot out a beam of light that directly covered the flirtatious youth. In a few short seconds, the 6 gold tiger sharks were mercilessly killed. As for the flirtatious youth, he was directly devoured by the blood-sucking wild saber. The flirtatious youth had indirectly helped the blood-sucking wild saber and also helped Longao. Longao didn't dare to act rashly. This was because he didn't know whether or not the primal chaos stone tablet would kill him, so he quietly waited. After a full 2 hours, the primal chaos stone tablet returned to Longao's dantian. At this time, Longao finally let out a long sigh of relief. But at this time, he didn't have time to comprehend the 5 elements heaven-swallowing art. Because above the sea, there was still a storm, lightning, and thunder. If he wasn't careful, he would be swallowed up by the waves. Human strength was ultimately unable to fight against the heavens. Not daring to be the slightest bit careless, Longao shot forward with his fastest speed. In the blink of an eye, he had already disappeared without a trace. Longao had just left when a figure suddenly appeared above the sea. It was none other than Heavendao. Luckily, Longao had left quickly and also had the primal chaos stone tablet's aura as a cover. Otherwise, if he wanted to leave, it would be harder than ascending to the heavens. Heavendao was pleasantly surprised. He looked around and muttered to himself, "It's actually the primal chaos stone tablet. I never thought that the primal chaos stone tablet I've been searching for would appear in the outer seas. I must obtain the primal chaos stone tablet." No matter who it was, they all wanted to obtain the primal chaos stone tablet. Even Heavendao had been bitterly searching for it for so many years. From this, one could imagine just how amazing the primal chaos stone tablet was. Looking left and right, Heavendao suddenly looked in the direction Longao left. He smiled and shot out. Chapter 655. The Chaos Tablet actually recognized him as its master. Just as Heavenly Tao left, Master Godly Mathematician's figure appeared. Seeing Heavenly Tao and Longao leave one after another, Master Godly Mathematician's lips slowly curled into a strange smile. With the Chaos Tablet recognizing him as its master, Longao's cultivation speed will increase once again. I can rest assured. Longao, who had just left, had a bad premonition in his heart. It was as if something was about to happen, but he couldn't say what it was. At this moment, Longao's heart suddenly thumped. His expression was extremely ugly. This was because he knew very well who this power that enveloped him was. Heavenly Tao? It really was Heavenly Tao. Thinking about it, Longao already knew why the Heavenly Tao would suddenly appear here. If he wasn't wrong, then the aura of the primal chaos stone tablet was far too strong. He believed that the Heavenly Tao had followed the aura of the primal chaos stone tablet here. But it had to be known that this place was very close to Spirit Beast Island. Perhaps Heavenly Tao itself was on Spirit Beast Island. No matter what, Heavenly Tao had suddenly descended. If he was discovered by Heavenly Tao, even if he could leave alive, what about in the future? Heavenly Tao was one of the strongest martial artists in the world. Its strength was there for all to see. If it wanted to kill him, it could do so in a matter of minutes. It was because of this that Longao didn't dare be the slightest bit careless. What should he do? Life and death were on the line. The moment he slowed down, he would be killed by Heavenly Tao. Longao didn't want to die. But for a moment, he didn't know what to do. After all, Heavenly Tao's strength was too strong. Although he wasn't locked on, any slight movement would definitely attract Heavenly Tao's attention. When that time came, it would be incomparably difficult to leave. In the end, Longao had no choice but to use the water avoidance pearl to enter the seabed. There was no longer any threat at the seabed. The 6 golden tiger sharks had all been killed by the Chaos Tablet. After entering the seabed, Longao still didn't dare be the slightest bit careless. This was because no one knew if Heavenly Tao would directly lock onto him. So, he had to be very, very careful. Longao had just entered the seabed when Heavendao's figure appeared. He looked around. At this time, the aura of the primal chaos stone tablet had already disappeared. Wanting to use the primal chaos stone tablet to lock onto a target was an impossible task. Even if he was the Heavenly Tao, he could not do this. Heavendao's complexion was dark and gloomy. This was because for countless years, he had been bitterly searching for this so-called chaos stone tablet, but there had been no news at all. Now, he had finally sensed the aura of the primal chaos stone tablet. If he were to give up like this, he was unwilling, truly unwilling. Others might not know what the chaos stone tablets represented, but as the Heavenly Tao, how could he not know? As the strongest existence in the world, there were a total of 12 primal chaos tablets. No matter who it was, as long as they obtained one of the primal chaos tablets, they could become the true strongest expert in the world. They could dominate the continent, sweep through the world, and be invincible. If it weren't for the Oracle, the Heavenly Tao wouldn't have wanted to obtain the Chaos Stone Tablet so badly. After all, with his current strength, aside from the Oracle, no one was his match. It was because of the Oracle. Towards the Oracle, the Heavenly Tao feared him. He didn't have the confidence to defeat him. In addition to the Oracle's Tao of divine divination, the Heavenly Tao feared him even more. He was worried that once he fought with the Oracle, just how good would his divination be? 1 point, 2 points, or 3 points, or 4 points. He didn't have the slightest bit of confidence. Thus, the Heavenly Tao told himself that he had to obtain the Chaos Stone Tablet and become the strongest martial artist. At that time, he could directly destroy the Oracle and eliminate all future troubles. He didn't have to worry every day that the Oracle would fight with him. Humans were like this. The higher they stood, the more they feared many things, especially their own lives. The Heavenly Tao already stood at the peak of martial arts and looked down on the world. But it was because of this that the Heavenly Tao feared death more than others. Otherwise, he wouldn't be in such a hurry to eliminate the Oracle. Chaos Stone Tablet, no matter what, I must obtain you. After finally sensing the aura of the Chaos Stone Tablet, the Heavenly Tao naturally wouldn't choose to give up so easily. His body suddenly emitted a powerful aura that covered the entire outer sea. With the Heavenly Tao's strength, unless it was on purpose, it was very difficult for ordinary people to discover his aura. He swept his eyes around, but he still couldn't sense the aura of the Chaos Stone Tablet. Was he going to come here for nothing again? He was unwilling. He was unwilling. As the Heavenly Tao, he couldn't even obtain the Chaos Stone Tablet. The Heavenly Tao believed that the reason he couldn't obtain the Chaos Stone Tablet was because of the Oracle. If he could think of it, then the Oracle must have thought of it as well. The Chaos Stone Tablet was his chance. Once he obtained the Chaos Stone Tablet, the Oracle would undoubtedly die. Since the Oracle had thought of it, then he would definitely stop him. Thinking of the Oracle, the Heavenly Tao's heart was filled with endless anger and killing intent. Although the God Diviner had helped him reach the pinnacle of martial arts back then, the Heavenly Tao had been constantly trying to kill the God Diviner all these years. This was because the Heavenly Tao could clearly sense just how much of a threat the God Diviner posed to it. At the bottom of the sea, others might not be able to sense it, but Longao could clearly sense that the Heavenly Tao's aura was sweeping through the outer sea. No matter who it was, as long as they had the aura of the Chaos Stone Tablet, they would probably be killed by the Heavenly Tao. This was the strength of the Heavenly Tao. This was the strength of the #1 powerhouse in the world. It was terrifying. Longao had a feeling that he was standing in front of the Heavenly Tao, and he didn't even have the thought of fighting back. This was the gap between the realms. After all, his current realm was too low. Not to mention fighting against the Heavenly Tao, even fighting against the Great Emperor would be a narrow escape. Because of this, Longao didn't dare to make any movements. If he was enveloped by the Heavenly Tao, he wouldn't be able to escape. The current situation was a little funny. As the Heavenly Tao, he couldn't find a puny Earth Sage. If news of this were to spread, no one would believe it. The Heavenly Tao clearly wasn't willing to give up so easily. He ignored the raging winds and waves and stood quietly on the outer sea's surface. His aura covered the entire outer sea as he tried to find the Chaos Stone Tablet. The Heavenly Tao was no fool. Since the Chaos Stone Tablet had appeared in the outer sea and he had sensed it just now, then there was no doubt that the Chaos Stone Tablet was still in the outer sea. However, he didn't know if the Chaos Stone Tablet was hiding its aura or if the Oracle was hiding it. If the Oracle obtained the Chaos Stone Tablet, then wouldn't he have no chance at all? Thinking of this, the Heavenly Tao worked even harder. The aura he released was stronger than the previous wave. He didn't stop at all. It seemed that he was determined to get the Chaos Stone Tablet even if he had to die. Chapter 656. The Heavenly Tao and Longao were in a deadlock. The problem now was that Longao knew about the Heavenly Tao's existence, but the Heavenly Tao didn't know about Longao's existence. At the bottom of the sea, Longao's expression slowly turned serious. According to Longbai, the Divine Island's secret realm would only open for a month at most, and the fight for the key would take place in 12 days. If the Heavenly Tao didn't leave and continued to sweep through the outer seas, how long would it take for him to reach the 8 islands? Entering the Divine Island's secret realm was a must. It was precisely because of this that Longao was thinking of all kinds of methods in his mind. He wanted to see if he could rush to the 8 islands as soon as possible and participate in the contest for the key of the mysterious island secret territory. He took a deep breath. Longao knew very well that the primal chaos stone tablet had already returned to his dantian. As long as the primal chaos stone tablet didn't appear, it would be very difficult for the Heavenly Tao to find him. After all, there were countless spirit beasts in the outer seas, and he was hiding his aura. If the Heavenly Tao could still find him, it would really be a god. When he thought of this, Longao finally took a step forward and walked forward. It was fine if he didn't walk, but once he did, he was shocked. The primal chaos stone tablet that had just returned to his dantian suddenly shot out and broke through the water's surface in the blink of an eye. Ah! Longao never imagined that the primal chaos stone tablet would suddenly leave at this time. He didn't know why, but the primal chaos stone tablet seemed a little strange, and he didn't know what had happened. No matter what, the primal chaos stone tablet's sudden departure left Longao somewhat helpless, but he didn't dare to act rashly. Dragon seal space. Longao went straight to the point and asked, Long Fu, what's going on with the primal chaos stone tablet? Why is it so unstable? Master, there's something you don't know. Although the primal chaos stone tablet has already recognized you as its master, it's extremely unstable. In the end, it's because you're not strong enough to suppress the primal chaos stone tablet and allow it to leave your body as it pleases. Longao nodded his head. Regarding this point, of course, he knew it very well. But Longao didn't want to listen to any of this. What he wanted to know was why the Chaos Stone tablet had suddenly left his body twice. If this continued, who knew when it would reappear? If that really was the case, then sooner or later he would be killed by the Chaos Stone tablet. Master, from what I can see, the primal Chaos Stone tablet appeared because the energy of the world guided it. It can be considered as indirectly helping Master. Otherwise, even if the primal Chaos Stone tablet recognized you as its master, I can say that it would take you at least 3 years to comprehend the 5 elements heaven-devouring mantra. 3 years. Hearing Long Fu's words, Longao also sighed endlessly. It seemed that his luck was quite good. Even like this he was able to perceive the 5-element heaven-swallowing art contained within the Chaos Stone tablet. After all, he was well aware of what 3 years meant. Now that he had comprehended the 5 elements heaven-swallowing art, he might be able to truly comprehend the 5 elements heaven-swallowing art in 3 years. But what about 3 years later? Even if he could comprehend the 5 elements heaven-devouring mantra after 3 years, he believed that it would take him another 3 years to comprehend it. Many things could happen during this time difference. Then why did the primal Chaos Stone tablet leave just now? Master, I didn't want to tell you about this matter. But since things have already come to this point, I'll tell you in advance. Hey! Hearing Long Fu's words, Longao's heart thumped. Because under normal circumstances, Long Fu wouldn't do such a thing. It seemed that this matter was no small matter. Because of this, Longao listened with rapt attention. Master, there are a total of 12 primal Chaos Stone tablets in the world. Each primal Chaos Stone tablet is an incomparably powerful existence. But for some unknown reason, countless years ago, all 12 primal Chaos Stone tablets were sealed away and scattered all over the world. F***CK. Although Longao had guessed countless possibilities, he had never thought of this possibility. The primal Chaos Stone tablets were sealed away. The primordial divine dragon and Long Fu had already said that the 12 primal Chaos Stone tablets were the most powerful existences in the world. If that was the case, then Longao really couldn't understand just what sort of power could seal the 12 primal Chaos Stone tablets. Master, I know you are curious, but I am also curious. I also don't know just what sort of power could seal the 12 primal chaos stone tablets. What do you mean? What I mean is simple. The primal chaos stone tablets want to borrow all sorts of powers to break their seals. At that time, Master, although you have already been recognized by the primal chaos stone tablets, I am still worried that you will be swallowed by the primal chaos stone tablets. Otherwise, you will become their puppet. Longao already knew why Long Fu was worried. He also knew why the primal chaos stone tablets would appear again and again. They wanted to break their seals. Long Fu, then what should I do now? Master, the primal chaos stone tablets want to borrow the power of the sea to break their seals. The heavenly Tao is outside, so you should wait here. The heavenly Tao also wants to obtain the primal chaos stone tablets. Longao could completely guess that the heavenly Tao definitely wanted to obtain the primal chaos stone tablets. Otherwise, the heavenly Tao wouldn't have suddenly descended and swept through the outer seas for so long. But thinking about it, he understood. No matter what, the primal chaos stone tablets were the most powerful existences in the world. As a martial artist that stood at the peak of martial arts, if the heavenly Tao didn't want to obtain the primal chaos stone tablets and raise its strength to another level, then that would be looking forward to. Moreover, Longao could also guess that if the heavenly Tao obtained the primal chaos stone tablets, would it be able to contend with the divine mathematician? It was because of this that Longao was very worried. If the primal chaos stone tablets were taken away by the heavenly Tao, then wouldn't his gains not make up for his losses? If it were anyone else, Longao wouldn't have the slightest doubt. But the heavenly Tao's situation was different. As the strongest martial artist, the heavenly Tao's strength was always there. It was better to be safe than sorry. What if the heavenly Tao really could take away the primal chaos stone tablets? Master, you can rest assured on this point. Since the primal chaos stone tablets have recognized you as their master, then no matter who it is, they will not be able to take away the primal chaos stone tablets. Even if it is the heavenly Tao, as long as it is locked onto by the primal chaos stone tablets, once it moves or attacks, only death awaits it. Long Fu's meaning was very simple. That was to say, even with the heavenly Tao's strength, it was unable to resist the power of the primal chaos stone tablets. Longao found it hard to imagine. If the primal chaos stone tablets were so terrifying when they were sealed, then wouldn't the primal chaos stone tablets be able to destroy the world? But it had to be known that this was only one of the 12 primal chaos stone tablets. If all 12 primal chaos stone tablets descended, just thinking about it left one excited. However, Longao was even more aware that the 12 primal chaos stone tablets had already been scattered all over the place. Not to mention seeing all of them, just seeing one of them was already a great fortune amidst misfortune. Chapter 657. Hearing that Tian Dao was unable to take away the Chaos Stone Tablet, Longao let out a long sigh of relief. On the surface of the sea, Tian Dao, who was searching for the Chaos Stone Tablet with all his might, suddenly had a change in expression. Following that, Tian Dao was pleasantly surprised. Because for some unknown reason, the Chaos Stone Tablet suddenly shot out of the water and instantly turned into a heaven-piercing stone tablet. Chaos Stone Tablet, I finally found it. The heavens did not betray me, the heavens did not betray me. Betray your sister. Longao, who was hiding at the bottom of the sea, heard Tian Dao's heart-wrenching cries and cursed. But since things had already come to this point, he could only obediently stay here and wait for Tian Dao to leave before he could leave. Looking at the Chaos Stone Tablet in front of him, Tian Dao was pleasantly surprised, but he did not dare to act rashly. Others might not know, but how could Tian Dao not know? As the most terrifying existence in the world, once he angered the Chaos Stone Tablet, he wouldn't even know how he died. Tian Dao was not a fool. Although he already stood at the peak of martial arts, he was very clear in his heart that in this world, there were still many existences that could kill him. The Chaos Stone Tablet was one of them. Staring at the Chaos Stone Tablet in front of him, Tian Dao released a trace of his aura in an attempt to communicate with the Chaos Stone Tablet. Only then could he fuse with it. But just as his aura was halfway there, Tian Dao's expression changed once more. Looking at the Chaos Stone Tablet in front of him in horror, Tian Dao could clearly feel the powerful aura emitted from the Chaos Stone Tablet counterattack. Tian Dao fiercely swallowed his saliva. He was very clear that the Chaos Stone Tablet's target was not him. Otherwise, just the counterattack just now would have been enough to easily kill him. This was the Chaos Stone Tablet. Tian Dao looked at the Chaos Stone Tablet in front of him with even more excitement. Because the more powerful the Chaos Stone Tablet was, the more excited he was. In this way, if he obtained the Chaos Stone Tablet, his strength would become even more powerful. With the previous example, Tian Dao did not dare to act rashly. In his mind, he thought of all sorts of methods to fuse with the Chaos Stone Tablet. I'll go all out. Tian Dao clearly knew that the Chaos Stone Tablet was very dangerous. If he was the slightest bit careless, he would be killed by Tian Dao. But Tian Dao's pawn could not resist the temptation and was prepared to take the risk. Tian Dao had just taken a step forward and was prepared to fuse with the Chaos Stone Tablet. But at this moment, Heavenswell looked at the Chaos Stone Tablet in horror. He seemed to have guessed something and attacked aggressively because Heavenswell did not want to die here. The more the Heavenly Dao attacked, the more the primal Chaos Stone Tablet focused its attention on him. It was very simple. It was just as Long Fu had guessed. The reason the Chaos Stone Tablet appeared so frequently in the Outer Sea was mainly because it wanted to borrow the power of the Outer Sea to break its seal. The Heavenly Daos were gradually unable to withstand it. This also showed how powerful the Heavenly Daos were. If it was an ordinary person, they would have long since been unable to withstand the primal Chaos Stone Tablets and would have been devoured by them. Just like the 6 golden tiger sharks just now, even the flirtatious young man didn't have the slightest ability to resist. One could imagine how powerful the Heavenly Dao was. Actually, with the power of the Heavenly Dao, it was completely unable to contend with the Chaos Stone Tablet. No matter what, among the 6 golden tiger sharks, one of them was a genuine heavenly god beast. But even so, it still couldn't block a single move from the primal Chaos Stone Tablet. In the end, 99% of the Chaos Stone Tablet's strength had been sealed away. Otherwise, even the Heavenly Dao wouldn't have been able to resist it. The Heavenly Dao fiercely cursed in his heart. Although the Heavenly Dao didn't want to leave, he knew that the Chaos Stone Tablet was still unable to fuse with it. It seemed that he would have to consider this at length. Fiercely avoiding this strength, the Heavenly Dao turned and left, instantly vanishing from the sea. Without a target to attack, the Chaos Stone Tablet calmed down once more. It prepared to borrow the strength of the sea to break open its seal. But no matter how it tried, it still wasn't able to do as it wished. The Chaos Stone Tablet returned to Longao's Dantian. But at this time, the Heavenly Dao also entered the seabed. It turned out that the Heavenly Dao hadn't left at all. It had only been waiting for the Chaos Stone Tablet. For all these years, the Heavenly Dao had been searching for the Chaos Stone Tablet. It wanted to fuse with the Chaos Stone Tablet and become the strongest martial artist. Now that it had finally found one, how could the Heavenly Dao give up so easily? Just as the Chaos Stone Tablet returned to his Dantian, Longao immediately drilled into a giant shell. Longao had already guessed that the Heavenly Dao wouldn't leave. And as expected, the Heavenly Dao didn't leave. Longao didn't dare to face the Heavenly Dao. At the very least, it wasn't too bad right now. As for the future, that would have to wait. The Heavenly Dao entered the seabed. As it looked around, its complexion was ugly to the extreme. It had been so difficult to find the Chaos Stone Tablet, but it had suddenly disappeared. Did it have to give up just like this? It was unwilling. It had been so difficult to find the Chaos Stone Tablet, so how could the Heavenly Dao choose to give up so easily? It was because of this that the Heavenly Dao released its powerful aura, instantly covering the entire seabed. If it was just Longao alone, then wanting to avoid the Heavenly Dao's aura search was simply a fool's dream. However, Longao's current situation was different. With the help of the Long Fu and the Longao, if the Heavenly Dao wanted to sense Longao's existence, it wouldn't be an easy matter. With some confidence, Longao hid in the shell, not moving at all. He didn't even breathe as he quietly waited. He didn't believe that the Heavenly Dao would always be here. As long as the Heavenly Dao left, Then he would have escaped this calamity. Just like this, the Heavenly Tao and Longao were once again in a deadlock. The Chaos Stone Tablet. I don't believe that I can't obtain the Chaos Stone Tablet. The Heavenly Tao's fists were tightly clenched as it looked around. However, the Heavenly Tao didn't search in the same place. The Chaos Stone Tablet was incomparably powerful and mysterious. Even now, the Heavenly Tao couldn't figure out why the Chaos Stone Tablet would appear in the outer sea. In the end, the Heavenly Tao left. Longao still didn't come out. It wasn't until an hour later that Longao walked out of the shell. Although the Heavenly Tao had temporarily left, Longao didn't relax at all. This was because he couldn't be sure if the Heavenly Tao had left the outer sea. Master, you have to leave this place quickly. The Heavenly Tao hasn't left at all. With my strength, I can only help you block it for a while, but I can't help you block it for a long time. Nodding, Longao naturally understood the meaning behind the Long Fu's words. It was because of this that Longao didn't dare hesitate. He immediately got up and carefully shot in another direction, constantly on guard against the sudden appearance of the Heavenly Tao. The outer sea was boundless. Longao wasn't too worried. As long as the Chaos Stone Tablet didn't appear, he believed that it wouldn't be easy for the Heavenly Tao to find him. At that time, once he entered the 8 islands, it would be very difficult for the Heavenly Tao to find him. Chapter 658. Outer Sea, Seabed. Longao was especially careful. Although he knew that it was not easy for the Heavenly Tao to find him in the vast seabed, he still did not dare to be careless. The Heavenly Tao was the strongest peak powerhouse in the world. No one knew how terrifying the Heavenly Tao's strength was. It's here again. Startled, Longao thought that the Heavenly Tao had gone far away. But he never imagined that the aura released by the Heavenly Tao would instantly sweep over. If he was not vigilant at all times, he believed that he would have already been scanned. Longao forcibly stopped, not daring to move. The surrounding fishes swam back and forth, corals covered the ground. If one did not look carefully, one would not be able to see that there was a person at the bottom of the sea. At this time, the Heavenly Tao's figure suddenly appeared. Longao could not dodge at all. It could be imagined that the Heavenly Tao must have discovered him. Who are you? Looking at the middle-aged Confucian scholar in front of him, Longao's heart was in a perilous situation. Because no matter what, the middle-aged Confucian scholar in front of him was the Heavenly Tao, the strongest martial artist in the world. Unless it was the divine mathematician, who else could rival the Heavenly Tao? Longao, may I know who you are? Longao pretended not to know the Heavenly Tao. Because he knew very well that as long as he revealed the slightest clue, he would immediately be killed by the Heavenly Tao. In front of the Heavenly Tao, Longao did not even have the thought of resisting. This was the strength of the Heavenly Tao. It was above the divine Tao. In the heavens and earth, it was the only sovereign. Being asked like this, the Heavenly Tao was stunned. Because it never imagined that there would be someone on this continent who dared to directly ask for its name. Who I am is not important. I just want to ask you a question. Why are you here? It was normal that the other party did not know him. It would be abnormal if the other party knew him. It was also because of this that Longao could be considered to have passed this trial. Moreover, from start to finish, the Heavenly Tao did not think that the Primal Chaos Tablet would be on the other party. In the eyes of the Heavenly Tao, a puny Earth Saint martial artist was almost an ant-like existence. Even it could not take away the Primal Chaos Tablet. Could it be controlled by a puny Earth Saint? It was also because of this that the Heavenly Tao lowered its guard against Longao. What does my being here have to do with you? You really have nothing better to do. I really despise people like you. If you don't have anything better to do, get the hell away from me. Just seeing you annoys me. Longao held the water avoidance pearl in his hand. His heart was heavy to the extreme because he did not know if the Heavenly Tao would attack him. And by doing this, he was betting that the Heavenly Tao would not kill him. If he gambled correctly, then everything would be fine. If he gambled wrongly, he would die. After being scolded by Longao, he was a bit stunned. In countless years, No one had ever dared to scold him like this. It was simply courting death. However, the more the other party was like this, the more the heavenly Tao would not kill him. Just as Longao had guessed, the heavenly Tao's heart was like this. It was always at the peak and was actually the easiest to deceive. Before Longao could continue, heavenly Tao's figure suddenly disappeared. In the eyes of the heavenly Tao, a mere earth saint expert did not even have the intention to attack. As the heavenly Tao, he would not easily kill anyone. After all, he would not lower himself to the same level as an ant. That was close. After confirming that the heavenly Tao had left, Longao finally breathed a sigh of relief and sighed inwardly. It seemed that he had gambled correctly this time. Now that the heavenly Tao had left, Longao did not dare to stay in the slightest. He immediately shot into the distance. The outer endless sea was mysterious and unfathomable. No one knew whether there were super experts and super forces in the outer endless sea. In any case, on the surface, the mythical island was the only overlord of the outer endless sea. Every 3 years, the outer endless sea would hold the so-called mythical island secret realm chaotic battle. It was divided into 8 regions, and each region only had 5 quotas. There were 50, 80, and 40 quotas. The remaining 60 quotas were all allocated from the mythical island. In other words, the mythical island would not participate in the mythical island secret realm every time. Although countless islands in the outer endless sea were not convinced, the strength of the mythical island was there. Countless islands dared to be angry but did not dare to say anything. The 8 islands surrounded the mythical island in all directions. There were countless islands in the outer endless sea, but if one wanted to participate in the mythical island secret realm every time, not every island could participate. Under normal circumstances, apart from the mythical island, the next 10 major islands were eligible to participate. The 10 major islands were the Tianyu Island, the Sunset Island, the Cloud Island, the Azura Island, the Dark Night Island, the Heartless Island, the Death Island, the Star Moon Island, the Extinguished Sun Island, and the Lone Star Island. Each of the 10 major islands was powerful. As for the Long family, they were not eligible to participate. However, the mythical island had set the rules in the past. The mythical island secret realm was the treasure of the entire outer endless sea. Therefore, as long as one came from the outer endless sea, no matter which island they were from, they could participate. The more the mythical island acted like this, the more everyone wanted to curse them. Because for so many years, the mythical island had been controlling the mythical island secret realm. Out of the 100 quotas, 60 of them would belong to the mythical island secret realm. There was no competition at all. Who could be convinced? Longao himself did not belong to the outer endless sea. However, he was alone, and no one could control him. The mythical island's rules were there. As long as one was from the outer endless sea, they could participate. No one could prove that Longao was not from the outer endless sea. Therefore, Longao was not worried in the slightest. Among the 8 major islands, Longao chose the eastern island. It was a huge island with dense vegetation. There were huge trees everywhere, covering the sky and the sun. Each of the 8 major islands would participate, but there was a difference between them. For example, the disciples of the 10 major islands would participate in the eastern island secret realm, but the 2 most powerful islands were Tianyu Island and Azura Island. Hold on, who are you? Where are you from? The disciples of the 10 major islands would have their own mark on their chests. For example, the disciples of Tianyu Island had a white cloud on their chests. The disciples of Azura Island had a black flame on their chests. Those who did not have a mark were not disciples of the 10 major islands. Originally, Longao wanted to kill a disciple and enter the island. However, after thinking about it, he decided not to waste time. Who I am is none of your business. I am here to participate in the mythical island secret realm. The mythical island's rules state that as long as one comes from the outer endless sea, no matter which island they are from, they can participate. Don't tell me you won't let me in. Ha ha ha, who the F***ck are you? I'm dying of laughter. Everyone can enter. If everyone could enter, then the 8 major islands would not be able to accommodate them. Brat, don't say that I'm not giving you a chance. Hurry up and F***ck off. I'm in a good mood today, so I don't want to bicker with you. As he spoke, the disciple of Azura Island touched his neck. His meaning was clear. However, if it was an ordinary person, they would have run away in fear. However, the person they met was Longao, a monster who was not afraid of anything and loved to counterattack. Therefore, Longao calmly stood in place, ignoring them. Chapter 659. Brat, it seems like you want to do this the hard way. Big brother, why are you talking to him? Just kill him. He nodded. Azura Island was one of the strongest islands in the outer sea. The disciples of the island were fearless. Even if they saw people from the other 9 islands, they would not hesitate to beat them up. Both of them were human king experts and had the right to be arrogant. Human kings only guarded the entrance. One could only imagine how powerful the disciples who entered the island were. Longao had already received news that there was no age restriction in the Divine Island's secret realm. There was only a cultivation realm restriction. That meant that anyone below the level of a great emperor could enter the secret realm. Without the participation of a great emperor or a supreme Dao martial artist, Longao was not worried at all. Even if he met a powerful illusionary divine martial artist, he could ensure his safety with his teleportation ability. Longao remained motionless as he stared coldly at the two of them. Originally, Longao didn't want to look for trouble. In any case, he had come here mainly for the key to the mysterious territory of the mysterious island. Unless it was a last resort, he absolutely didn't want to provoke the disciples of the so-called top 10 islands. But now, Longao had always had a principle. If people did not offend him, he would not offend them. If people wanted to offend him, he would definitely offend them. Before the two of them could move, Longao had already moved. Before the two of them could react, they were already rooted to the ground. When they regained their senses, they stared in horror at the figure that had already disappeared. At this moment, Longao's voice could be heard. Those who humiliate others will be humiliated by others. Today, I will give the two of you a chance. If you do this again in the future, I will kill you. Hearing the cold and murderous voice, the two of them shuddered. They looked at each other and saw fear in each other's eyes. Illusionary divine martial artist. These words suddenly appeared in their minds. As disciples of Azura Island, the two of them naturally knew what an illusionary divine martial artist represented. An illusionary divine martial artist was not someone they could provoke. Longao's figure disappeared without a trace. After entering the island, Longao followed Longbai's instructions and shot towards the secret realm peak. The mysterious territory of the Divine Island was the #1 forbidden area of the Divine Island. For the sake of fairness, the mythical island had set up a secret territory peak on each of the 8 islands. There were 5 keys to open the mythical island's secret territory. Therefore, when everyone entered the island, the first thing they did was to go to the secret territory peak as quickly as possible. The Mystic Realm Peak was unique in the entire island. The huge mountain peak was surrounded by water, like a paradise. According to Longbai, there was a Mystic Realm Peak on each of the 8 islands, and the lake water around each Mystic Realm Peak was extremely poisonous. Forget about illusionary divine martial artists, even great emperors would die the moment they touched the lake water. Because of this, the lake surrounding Mystic Realm Peak was filled with people. As far as the eye could see, there was a sea of people. No matter who it was, no one dared to touch the pool water. Under normal circumstances, the weakest disciples who wanted to fight for the keys were all illusionary divine martial artists. There were even a large number of illusionary divine martial artists. Such a warrior could fly, but in the current situation, no one dared to fly. I wonder when the taboo will disappear. I'm getting impatient. Taboo. Longao did not know what the taboo was. Longbai had not told him what it was. However, in a short while, Longao figured out what the taboo was. It turned out that the Mystic Realm Peak could not be entered at any time. Unless the mythical island removed the taboo, anyone who tried to force their way in would be killed immediately. This was also the real reason why everyone could only wait helplessly. Tyrannical. This was the tyranny of the mythical island. As the number one power in the outer seas, no one dared to oppose them. The disciples of Azura Island, Sky Universe Island, and the other islands all looked at the Mystic Realm peak in anticipation. Time passed slowly. "You're not from the 10 islands." Hearing the Thousand Arms Azura's words, everyone looked at Longao. Although the 10 islands usually fought with each other, they looked down on the people of the other islands. In the hearts of the disciples of the 10 islands, the disciples of the other islands were the lowest of the low. They had no right to participate in the fight for the key to the mythical island's mystic realm. The Thousand Arms Azura was one of the top disciples of Azura Island. He had broken through to the Holy King realm before the age of 30. On Azura Island, and even in the outer seas, he was a famous existence. The Thousand Arms Azura looked down on Longao and snorted coldly. "You overestimate yourself." The Thousand Arms Azura's words had a hidden meaning. Not only the disciples of Azura Island, but even the disciples of Sky Universe Island all looked at Longao with hatred. They all looked at him with contempt. "Get out. If you don't leave, we'll kill you without mercy. Who the hell do you think you are? How dare you try to snatch the key? You really don't know the meaning of death." Every one of them was overbearing, but Longao did not show the slightest bit of fear. With a cold snort, Longao said without fear, "The mythical island clearly states that anyone from the outer seas has the right to enter the island and snatch the key. Could it be that you guys?" Without waiting for Longao to finish speaking, everyone around him immediately began to shout. Each and every one of them looked at Longao angrily. They wished that they could immediately cut this person into 8 pieces and tear him apart. At this time, the Thousand Arms Azura and Sky Universe Island's genius disciple, Tian Feng, waved their hands. The two of them looked at each other and could see the hostility in each other's eyes. The 10 islands of the outer seas had always been fighting both openly and covertly. It was a situation of either you die or I die. Especially Azura Island and Sky Universe Island, they were like fire and water. Otherwise, it would be impossible for the other islands to not participate in the fight for the key to this island. "Who are you?" "Longao." "Longao?" He had never heard of this name. However, the other party was not from the 10 islands, so he did not have the qualifications to enter the island and participate in the fight for the key to the mystic domain peak. The two of them waved their hands. Then, more than 100 people rushed forward. Their intention was very clear. They wanted to directly kill Longao. If it was just these people, Longao would not be afraid. However, there were heavenly saints, saint kings, saint sovereigns, and even saint emperors. Although there were no saint emperors and above, Longao could clearly sense their existence. Therefore, Longao did not choose to meet force with force. With a spatial teleportation, his body disappeared without a trace. Where did he go? Looking at the figure that disappeared into thin air, everyone's expression changed. The Thousand Arms Azura and Tian Yu's faces were very ugly. They naturally knew what it meant for the other party to suddenly disappear. Could it be that this person was a hidden expert? Impossible, they had just sensed that this person was only an Earth Saint. Chapter 660. Many people didn't know where Longao had gone. At this time, the restriction suddenly disappeared. There were only 5 keys to the secret realm peak. No one cared about Longao as they rushed towards the secret realm peak as fast as they could. The Thousand Arms Azura and Tian Feng were no exception. But at this time, 2 terrifying blade lights arrived. The surrounding space seemed to roar, as if it wanted to devour the two. As Saint Kings, the two of them were strong. Because of this, the two of them never imagined that a puny Earth Saint cultivator would dare to sneak attack them. He was simply courting death. The Thousand Arms Azura and Tian Feng jumped in fright and hastily dodged. But even so, the dozens of people around them were swallowed by the blade lights. Seeing this, the two of them were furious. What kind of joke was this? Whether it was Azura Island or Sky Universe Island, they were both superpowers in the outer sea. Aside from the mythical island, The two islands could dominate the outer sea. Because of this, no one had ever dared to be so arrogant, slaughtering the disciples of the two islands in broad daylight. They didn't place Azura Island and Sky Space Island in their eyes at all. This was simply unbearable. Their chrysanthemums could endure, but their secret caves couldn't. Brat, you're courting death. The two of them were enraged to the extreme. With a roar, the two of them gave the order to hunt down Longao. They even threw the matter of the keys to the back of their minds. In truth, the main forces fighting for the keys on the secret realm peak were Saint Kings, Saint Venerables, Saint Emperors, and even Saint Kings were just cannon fodder. This was why the Thousand Arms Azura and Tian Feng were so fearless. Longao sneered. He wasn't afraid of anyone. The blade lights had devoured dozens of people, and 95% of them were disciples of Azura Island and Sky Universe Island. Longao was clear that by killing dozens of people, he had thoroughly angered the people of the two islands. If he was careless, he would be besieged by countless disciples of the two islands. Although Longao was confident in his own strength, he knew that a wise man knew better than to fight when the odds were against him. Firstly, as the saying goes, 2 fists are no match for 4 hands. No matter how strong you are, you will never be able to withstand so many people taking turns to fight you and swarming you. Secondly, Longao was well aware that whether it was Azura Island or Sky Universe Island, it wasn't just Saint Kings that came. Even Saint Emperors weren't lacking. If he provoked Saint Sovereigns, or Saint Emperors, then it would be even more troublesome. Third, he had come here for the key, so that he could enter the mysterious realm of the Divine Island and get what the marvelous diviner wanted. Then, he could start cultivating. If he couldn't get the key because of this, wouldn't he lose more than he gained? Because of this, Longao did not fight with the disciples of the two islands. Instead, he chose to go to the mystic realm peak. After 3 consecutive teleportations, Longao appeared at the foot of the mystery mountain. Before anyone could figure out what had happened, Longao's figure disappeared from the mystery mountain. What exactly happened? Looking at the target that had suddenly disappeared, everyone was completely dumbfounded and stood rooted to the ground. The first to react were the Thousand Hands Azura and Tian Feng. Even so, they couldn't help but feel their hearts skip a beat. The two of them were still certain that their opponent was only a puny earth saint. However, they didn't know what kind of martial skill he had cultivated that allowed him to disappear into thin air. Just based on this point, it seemed impossible for them to kill him. Saint Kings, as Saint Kings, were unable to kill a puny earth saint. If this matter were to spread, where would their face go? After entering the mystic realm peak, Longao was constantly in a state of vigilance. This was because Longao didn't know how many experts had come from Azura Island and Sky Universe Island. After all, he didn't belong to any of the two islands. Once he entered the mystic realm peak, life and death would be up to fate. In order to compete for the 5 spots, he believed that everyone would fight with their lives on the line. Even if they came from the same island, for the sake of this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, they would still make a move at the last moment. In front of benefits, everything was nonsense. As expected. Looking at the sudden appearance of so many figures, Longao's heart skipped a beat. Everyone from Sky Universe Island and Azura Island attacked as soon as they saw each other. They didn't care about anything and went all out. Even Saint Emperors, Saint Venerables, and Saint Emperors would die if they weren't careful. Longao was extremely happy in his heart, because he was just following behind everyone's buttocks to take advantage of them. No matter who died, as long as they died, Longao would immediately send them into the dragon seal space along with their souls. What are you doing? You're courting death. Perhaps because he was too excited, Longao only cared about taking advantage of the situation and forgot to hide himself. In the end, he was discovered. Saint Emperors. Longao didn't dare to be careless as he knew that with his current strength, he was no match for Saint Emperors. With spatial teleportation, Longao could ignore all illusionary divine stage martial artists, including Saint Emperors. This was the so-called spatial teleportation, a heaven-defying existence. However, very quickly, all the martial artists from Sky Universe Island and Azura Island knew of one thing. There was a mysterious person from an unknown island who specialized in taking advantage of the situation and even attacked the disciples of the two islands. How could such a situation happen? Many people didn't believe it, as no one would have thought that in the outer sea, there would be disciples from other islands who would be so blind as to kill the people from the two islands. They were simply courting death. However, the key was right in front of them. Even though they knew that someone was provoking them, the experts from Sky Universe Island and Azura Island still didn't care and went all out to fight for the so-called key. Longao didn't immediately attack because he knew that at the beginning, the experts would go all out. If he attacked now, he would be courting death. Thus, Longao chose to deal with two people first. One was Azura Island's Thousand Hands Azura and the other was Sky Universe Island's Tianfeng. Both of them were intermediate Saint Kings and could be considered experts among experts. Brat, why aren't you running anymore? I'm very curious. Why did you suddenly disappear? If you tell us the secret, we can let you live. How about it? No matter if it was Tianfeng or Thousand Hands Azura, both of them were greedy because Lin Fan had suddenly disappeared. This was something that they couldn't do. They believed that even great emperors wouldn't be able to do it. It would be a lie to say that they didn't want it. Under absolute temptation, enemies could become friends temporarily. Thus, Tianfeng and Thousand Hands Azura became friends temporarily and both of them wanted to know the so-called secret. How could Longao not know what the two of them were thinking? He sneered in his heart and said, "If you want it, I will only tell one person. However, there are two of you. As long as there is a victor, I will tell him the secret. Otherwise, you won't be able to catch me." Chapter 661. Hearing each other's words, the two of them cursed in their hearts. As for Longao's intentions, how could the Thousand Arms Azura and Skypeak not know? Their complexions instantly became ugly. Brat, although Sky Universe Island isn't much, your evil plan won't succeed. Hand it over and I can spare your life. Thousand Arms Azura, who do you think you are? I can clearly tell you that in front of me, you are less than dog shit. Tit for tat. Azura Island and Sky Universe Island were originally at odds with each other. They had already reached a situation where either one of them died or the other died. The two of them clearly knew that the other side was deliberately trying to drive a wedge between them, wanting them to kill each other and then reap the benefits. But they still couldn't hold themselves back. With swords drawn, the two of them were about to fight. But at this time, whether it was the two of them or Longao, their complexions changed. Then, everyone felt as if their bodies couldn't move. The strength of Source. Longao could clearly feel that this strength covering his body was the strength of Source he had just obtained several months ago. In other words, it was the strongest strength in the world. According to the divine mathematician, if one wanted to step onto the peak of martial arts, they had to fuse with the strength of Source. Otherwise, no matter what their talent was or what their potential was, it was impossible for them to step onto the peak of martial arts. But the strength of Source was already controlled by the heavenly Tao. Besides the divine mathematician, no one could obtain it. In other words, unless one had the help of the divine mathematician, there was no third person in this world that could step onto the peak of martial arts and become a peak martial artist. As for why the heavenly Tao wanted to cover everyone, others might not know the reason, but how could Longao not know? It seemed that the heavenly Tao hadn't given up on searching for the Chaos Tablets. But thinking about it, this made sense. No matter what, the Chaos Tablets were the strongest existences in the world. Once the heavenly Tao obtained the Chaos Tablets, it could rise to another level and even surpass the divine mathematician. If the heavenly Tao really killed the divine mathematician, then didn't that mean that from this day on, no one in this world would be able to restrict the heavenly Tao? The Thousand Arms Azura and Tianfeng had no idea what was going on. Their faces were filled with extreme shock. They didn't dare to move, nor could they move. Just like that, the three of them allowed the energy to sweep over them, constantly scanning their bodies. Longao was not a fool. Of course, he knew that the heavenly Tao was looking for him. However, the mystic realm peak was currently filled with people. As long as the Chaos Stone Tablet did not appear at this time, It would not be easy for the heavenly Tao to find him. Soon, the origin energy had disappeared. It was only at this moment that Longao heaved a sigh of relief. Before he could speak or even take action, he heard a cry of surprise. Then, Tiandao's figure suddenly appeared. "May I know who Senior is? I am Azura Island's Thousand Hands Azura." Before the thousand-armed Azura could finish reporting, the heavenly Tao seemed to have lost its patience. With a wave of its hand, the two of them disappeared. This was the powerful strength of those at the peak of the martial way. Not to mention Earth Saints, even two Saint King martial artists were a joke in front of the heavenly Tao. Could it be that the heavenly Tao had discovered him? That was unlikely. If the heavenly Tao had discovered the Chaos Stone tablet in his dantian, it would not have given him any chance and would have directly erased him. Since that was the case, why was the heavenly Tao doing this? "Just who are you?" Ignoring Longao, the heavenly Tao's origin power instantly entered Longao's body and began a wanton search. The heavenly Tao's intentions were clear. In other words, the heavenly Tao was beginning to suspect Longao. It was because of this that Longao's heart skipped a beat. However, he did not dare to resist. If he resisted, wouldn't that be telling the heavenly Tao that he had the Chaos Stone tablet in his body? If that was the case, it would be a confession. Not long after, the heavenly Tao's origin power entered his dantian. Was he really going to be discovered? But what Longao never imagined was that when the heavenly Tao's origin power entered his dantian, it could not discover the Chaos Stone tablet. This was like placing a steamed bun in front of a person, but the person could not see it. As if surprised, the heavenly Tao didn't say any more nonsense and directly vanished from where he stood. At this moment, Longao finally let out a sigh of relief. Up until now, whenever the heavenly Tao appeared, he had no chance of resisting. He didn't even have the thought of resisting. Longao was well aware that in order to find the Chaos Stone tablet, the heavenly Tao would not let anyone from the outer sea go. But no matter what, he had escaped this calamity. He believed that the heavenly Tao would not come looking for him in the future. Since the heavenly Tao had left, Longao didn't hesitate. He immediately shot towards the peak of the Mystic Realm Peak. Mystic Realm Peak, peak. At the peak of the 8 islands, a giant boulder had been set up. On top of it were 5 keys. These were the keys to open the mystic realm of the Divine Island. Along the way, the disciples of Azura Island and Sky Universe Island, as well as the disciples of the other islands, had nearly all killed each other. Originally there were over 10,000 disciples, but now there were at most 100 disciples left. Of the remaining 100 disciples, around 30 were Saint Kings or above. From this, it could be imagined just how strong Azura Island and Sky Universe Island were. Under normal circumstances, Longao wouldn't have participated. But now, the 5 keys were placed in front of him. If he missed this opportunity, then he would miss the chance to enter the mystic realm of the Divine Island. No matter what, the purpose of entering the island this time was to find the 5 keys. So, how could Longao choose to give up so easily? Because of this, Longao directly shot out like an arrow. Earth Saint. Seeing Longao suddenly appear, everyone nearly collapsed. Many people were incomparably angry towards Longao. This was because no matter who it was, once they died, they would be taken away by this person. This was simply a provocation to Azura Island and Sky Universe Island. But at this time, no one cared about Longao. This was because they all had the same goal, and that was the keys on the boulder. As for Longao, no one placed him in their eyes. He was just a small Earth Saint. Longao was also very willing to see this situation. Over 100 people shot towards the boulder with all their strength. They were about to reach the boulder. But at this time, everyone was shocked. This was because the boulder suddenly erupted with a terrifying energy. It scattered in all directions like a sharp sword. Some people didn't react in time and were directly killed by the energy that transformed into sharp swords. Just what had happened? Everyone was stunned. This kind of thing had never happened before. Could it be that the Divine Island was behind this? That didn't seem likely. In all the Divine Island's mystic realms, This had never happened before. Since it wasn't the divine Tao, then who could it be? They couldn't figure it out. No one could figure it out. Chapter 662. Everyone was being attacked. No one was spared, including Longao. 1/5 of the 100 people were killed in an instant. The remaining people were shocked and hurriedly retreated. A layer of black light suddenly appeared around the boulder. Everyone knew that the attack just now was the black light. It looked ordinary, but it was terrifying. The 5 keys to enter the mysterious territory of the island were right in front of them, but they couldn't get them. Everyone was anxious. No matter what, the mysterious territory of the island was only held once every 3 years. If they missed this opportunity, they would have to wait another 3 years. Therefore, no one would give up this opportunity easily. Since they couldn't get the keys for the time being, they had to deal with the others first. As a result, people started to kill each other in front of the huge rock. Everyone understood that whoever could stand at the end would get the 5 keys and enter the mysterious territory of the divine island. Longao wouldn't get involved. However, at this time, the Thousand Arms Azura and Tianfeng suddenly appeared and attacked Longao without warning. When enemies met, their eyes turned red. In the blink of an eye, the 3 of them were already fighting. They attacked back and forth, fighting to the death. Longao did not want to go head-to-head with the 2 of them because he knew that the 2 of them were genuine Saint King martial artists. Not to mention 1 against 2, even if it was 1 against 1, he would not be a match for them. Therefore, he couldn't fight them head-on. He could only use his wits. With the help of spatial teleportation, the 2 of them couldn't catch up with Longao at all. They were angry and tried to provoke him, but was it effective on Longao? Thousand Arms Azura, you dare to attack me? Who do you think you are? The Thousand Arms Azura seemed to have lost his patience because he couldn't catch up with Longao. In addition, this fight for the keys had nothing to do with him. Therefore, the Thousand Arms Azura targeted Tianfeng directly. Usually, Tianfeng and the Thousand Arms Azura were the biggest enemies. Even if he couldn't get the keys, killing the other seemed to be a good reward. Without a doubt, the Thousand Arms Azura and Tianfeng fought fiercely. Longao didn't let go of such a rare opportunity. While everyone was fighting, he rushed toward the boulder. Was this person looking for death? This person must be tired of living. Looking at Longao flying towards the boulder, everyone's faces were filled with disdain and contempt. Because of the lesson from before, everyone still had lingering fear in their hearts. Therefore, in everyone's opinion, only death awaited this person who dared to barge into the boulder. When Longao was 1 meter away from the boulder's energy shield immediately began to attack. Similarly, Longao did not dare to be careless. He immediately used his self-created martial skill, Sorrow of the Heavens and Earth. His entire body was like a tornado, sweeping away everything. In an instant, Longao came to the side of the boulder. He was overjoyed. Looking at the 5 keys on the boulder, Longao picked them up without hesitation and put them into his bosom. The purpose of coming to the island this time had been completed, so Longao naturally wouldn't stay. He turned around and shot towards the other side. In a short while, he had already disappeared without a trace. Where's the key? Could it be that person just now? It must be him. Chase. Seeing that the boulder was already empty, everyone was shocked. Even an idiot could guess who had taken the 5 keys on the boulder. Although they were unwilling to believe it, the truth was right in front of their eyes. Therefore, everyone chased after Longao. They were all incomparably furious and filled with killing intent. They wanted nothing more than to immediately kill Longao and take back the 5 keys. Until now, no one could figure out how the other party had done it. It had to be known that even Saint Emperors had almost been killed by the boulder's energy shield. But now, a puny Earth Saint had actually ignored the boulder's energy shield and snatched the 5 keys. How did this person do it? Before anyone could chase after him, 4 black figures suddenly appeared in the distance. Seeing this situation, everyone's eyes turned green. Because everyone knew what the 4 black figures were. When the 4 keys suddenly flew over, No one was willing to chase after Longao. Instead, they all began to fight for the so-called 4 keys. In this way, Longao smoothly left. However, Longao didn't immediately leave the island. Instead, he shot towards the 2 people. It was still the same saying. If people don't offend me, I won't offend them. If people want to offend me, I'll definitely offend them. As for why Longao threw out the 4 keys, the reason was very simple. Longao clearly knew that if he left with all the keys, he would definitely be hunted down by everyone. As the saying goes, 2 fists are no match for 4 hands. He was only one person, so the 5 keys were useless. Throwing out the 4 keys would allow him to leave smoothly. Why not? The Thousand Arms Azura and Tian Feng were fighting to the death. The battle was constantly escalating, and the victor could be decided at any time. Longao hid at the side and coldly looked at the 2 people. This time, he didn't want to provoke anyone, but the 2 of them always found him an eyesore. If it wasn't for his spatial teleportation, he believed that he would have been killed by the 2 of them. If he didn't take revenge, he wouldn't be a gentleman. If it was an ordinary person, they wouldn't dare to take revenge on the 2 saint rulers. It was simply courting death. However, Longao was like that. Even though he knew that he wasn't a match for the 2 saint rulers, he was still prepared to take action. No matter the price, he had to deal with the 2 of them. Watching the 2 of them fight, Longao didn't move at all. He stared at the 2 of them, waiting for an opportunity. The battle between the Thousand Arms Azura and Tian Feng had reached the most critical moment. It was at this moment that Longao made his move. With spatial teleportation, Longao's figure suddenly disappeared. In the next second, Longao's figure appeared in front of the 2 people. Following that, a dragon's roar resounded, and an illusory dragon's shadow appeared behind him. The dragon's roar resounded. The Thousand Arms Azura and Tian Feng, who were in the middle of the battle, didn't know what was happening. They looked at Longao in shock, especially the illusory dragon's shadow behind Longao. Before the 2 of them could react, they were shocked to find that their bodies had been locked on. Not only that, the 2 of them found that the flow of space around them had changed and started to flow in reverse. If they hadn't experienced it personally, they wouldn't have believed it even if they were beaten to death. Of course, Longao wouldn't let go of such a rare opportunity. Under normal circumstances, even if Longao used his innate ability, Dragon's Roar, it would be difficult for him to kill the 2 of them. However, the 2 of them were clearly caught off guard. In this way, the 2 of them had lost their last chance. Bloodthirsty blade. Longao used his full strength and fiercely slashed at the 2 of them. A terrifying blade light shot out, and without any surprise, the 2 of them were directly swallowed by the terrifying blade light. 2 saint rulers were instantly killed by an earth saint. If this matter were to spread, no one would believe it. Chapter 663. After successfully killing 2 people, Longao didn't stay any longer. After successfully obtaining the key, Longao left the island and rushed to the mythical island as fast as he could. Outer Sea, Mythical Island. As the most powerful force in the Outer Sea, the mythical island was not only powerful, but also the most mysterious existence. The mythical island was very strict. Ordinary people couldn't enter the mythical island at all. However, the prestige of the mythical island was there. No matter who it was, even the top 10 islands didn't dare to provoke the mythical island. After 3 days of fighting, the 40 keys of the 8 islands were all taken away. Without a doubt, almost all the disciples of the top 10 islands had obtained the keys. It was just a matter of who got the most. With the key, Longao smoothly entered the mythical island. As soon as he stepped into the mythical island, Longao's heart thumped. He was slightly surprised because the heaven and earth spirit chi on the mythical island was very dense. It was twice as strong as the outside world. Please show me the key in your hand. Longao gave the key to the mythical island emissary. Then, he followed the emissary to the mythical island's secret territory. A total of 100 people, 100 places. Tomorrow morning, all 100 people would enter the mythical island's secret territory. As for how many of them would come out alive, it was unknown. Longao was very unhappy because after being brought here by the emissary, he seemed to have become a stepmother. No one stood out to ask him, and no one greeted him. Longao was very clear that the mythical island treated him well because of his identity. Although the mythical island had a clear rule that as long as one was from the outer sea, one could enter the mythical island's secret territory. However, as time passed, almost all the disciples of the top 10 islands would enter. As for the people of the other islands, wanting to enter the mythical island's secret territory was simply a pipe dream. In this year's mythical island's secret territory, Longao was an anomaly. He didn't belong to the top 10 islands, so he didn't get the treatment he deserved. Damn, he's not a disciple of the top 10 islands. So disgusting. I heard that this person fought against the Azura Island and Tianyu Island and got a key. It seems he's not simple. That's enough. So what if he's not simple? He's just a puny earth saint. I can pinch him to death with my fingers. It's simply shameful to enter the Divine Island's secret realm with such a person. The 100 people were all arranged to stay in one place by the Divine Tao. In any case, among the 100 people, no less than 40 people came from the 10 major islands. What if they took the opportunity to explore the Divine Island? The situation was very simple. The people of the 10 islands and the mythical island were standing in their own territories. Only Longao was standing alone on one side, which made him stand out from the crowd. If Longao was a sage emperor or a sacred ground, no one would mock him. However, the problem now was that Longao was only an earth saint, and these people did not take him seriously at all. Just as someone had said earlier, in their opinion, they could easily destroy him with a flick of their finger. Your name is Longao? Everyone's complexion changed when they saw the sudden appearance of the old man. However, the disciples of the God's Island were overjoyed. They saluted respectfully and said, "Disciple pays respect to elder." The elder of the God's Island was also a divine Tao warrior. Whether it was status or strength, he was a lofty existence on the God's Island. Yi Wuling, a nihility god warrior. Yi Wuling's sudden appearance made everyone a little confused. Because every time the Divine Island's secret realm opened, it was already very good to have a nihility god protector appear to entertain the guests, not to mention a divine Tao warrior had personally come. Nodding his head, although Longao did not know why this deity path martial artist suddenly descended, he still nodded his head and replied, "Precisely. I wonder who you are." "This is our Divine Island's elder, Yi Wuling, Elder Yi." "Elder Yi." Waving his hand, Yi Wuling's complexion did not look good, as if someone owed him millions. He went straight to the point and said, "Longao, you're not from the 10 major islands. I want to ask you, where are you from?" Cloud Island's Long family. Longao had already guessed that the God's Island would certainly ask him this. In this Divine Island's secret realm, among more than 100 people, only he came from the other islands. As for the remaining 99 people, 60 of them came from the God's Island, and 39 of them came from the 10 major islands. It was conceivable that the God's Island would certainly ask him about his identity. Longao, of course, would not reveal his true identity. He could only rely on the Cloud Island's Long family. The Cloud Island, in the vast sea, was just an inconspicuous island. He believed that the 10 major islands, including the divine Tao warriors, certainly had never heard of the Cloud Island. If so, there should be no problem. Sure enough. Hearing the two words Cloud Island, Yi Wuling obviously did not know. He glanced at the God's Island disciple next to him. His meaning was very simple, which was to ask what the Cloud Island was. Very sensible, this God's Island disciple suddenly got close to Yi Wuling's ear and whispered something. After a while, Yi Wuling nodded and said, "Very good, you were able to get the key from the 10 major islands. I admire you very much. But Longao, the God's Island now has a matter to trouble you. I hope you can agree. Please say." Without knowing why, after listening to Yi Wuling's words, Longao had a bad premonition in his heart. It seemed that the God's Island was planning something. Longao, this time, the 60 spots of the God's Island have all been reserved, but we missed one person. Therefore, we want you to give up your spot to enter the secret territory of the God's Island. As for the compensation, we will make you very satisfied. So it was this matter. After listening to Yi Wuling's words, Longao's face instantly became gloomy and ugly. Yi Wuling's meaning was very clear. That was, he wanted to deprive his spot. On the surface, it was to compensate him, but it was coercive. After all, the God's Island was overbearing. How could he refuse? Everyone looked at Longao and Yi Wuling with great interest. Everyone wanted to see what choice Longao would make. Would he choose to persist? Or would he choose to give up? It should be known that the secret territory of the God's Island was only held once every 3 years. Once he missed this opportunity, whether he could enter the secret territory next time was still the biggest unknown. What's more, any compensation could not make up for the quota of the God's Island's secret territory. This was too much. Longao was not a fool. In his heart, he was very clear that the God's Island had sent a supreme Dao warrior to personally explain to him, not because they valued him, but because they wanted to show the other 10 islands. The God's Island did not want to be accused of bullying the other islands. In any case, the God's Island had made a rule that no matter who it was, as long as they were from the outer seas, they could enter the secret territory of the God's Island. If they forcibly deprived Longao of his spot, they would certainly be criticized. Longao knew the intentions of Yi Wuling and the God's Island, and the people of the other 10 islands also knew. While they despised the God's Island, they also despised and sympathized with Longao. But this was the reality. P.S. Many people have asked why he had updated 3 chapters in the past few days. Little Ju only has one explanation. He was tired and rested for a few days. Starting tomorrow, he will restore 5 chapters. Then, on the 16th, he will explode. If you have tickets, please send a few. If you are willing to support, please tip 1 yuan. Little Ju is very grateful. Chapter 664. In the Sky Martial Continent, martial arts were respected. Whether it was in the 9 continents or the outer sea, it was a world of cannibalism. If you had the strength, you could be a grandfather, but if you didn't have the strength, you could only be a grandson. This was the reality. In the outer sea, the mythical island was the top existence. It could be said that in the outer sea, the mythical island dared to say 1, but no one dared to say 2. In the eyes of outsiders, since the mythical island had spoken, would Longao dare to refuse? Longao's face was very ugly. He cursed the 18 generations of ancestors of the mythical island in his heart. This was using the mythical island's strength to forcibly suppress him and force him to withdraw from the mythical island's secret territory. If it was in the 9 continents, Longao certainly wouldn't choose to withdraw. But now, if he didn't withdraw, would he be able to leave the mythical island alive? You don't want to? Yi Wuling looked at Longao with interest. Not to mention the mythical island, he alone could easily destroy the other party. Therefore, Yi Wuling didn't worry about whether the other party would agree or not. Serves him right. He overestimated himself and dared to enter the mythical island's secret territory. He really doesn't know life from death. In the eyes of outsiders, Longao wasn't a disciple of the 10 great islands. It was impossible for him to enter the mythical island's secret territory. Because of this, the mythical island wanted to deprive Longao of his quota. One by one, they looked at Longao with ridicule. Their faces were full of contempt and disdain. I want to ask, what kind of compensation is the mythical island prepared to give me? Regarding Longao's compromise, no one was surprised. After all, the mythical island's strength was there. How could a small Longao dare to challenge the mythical island? Because of this, no one despised Longao. It seemed to be a matter of course. Yi Wuling snorted in his heart. Trash was trash. He was too lazy to even say it. However, in order to show the other 10 great islands, Yi Wuling could only endure. You can stay on the mythical island and cultivate for a month. When the mythical island's secret territory ends, you can leave. F***CK. Your grandpa. Trash mythical island. Longao thought that the divine island would give him some kind of compensation, but it turned out that it was just to let him stay on the divine island to cultivate. He had seen shameless people, but he had never seen such shameless people. He obviously knew that the divine island was bullying him, but Longao didn't have the slightest way to deal with it. Who let the strength of the divine island be placed there? Nodding his head, Longao didn't say anything else. Yi Wuling, on the other hand, gave him a disdainful look before turning around and disappearing. Although Longao's quota had already been taken away, he could still continue to stay on the God's Island. Longao also didn't leave. He stayed on the island and prepared to cultivate properly. However, Longao discovered that even though Yi Wuling had already left, there was still an endless stream of ridicule and disdain from all around. Regarding the meaning of these people, Longao naturally knew clearly. However, Longao did not say anything. He ignored everyone around him and quietly found a secluded place to begin his cultivation. Azura Island and Brother Tianyu coldly looked at Longao. The two mythical islands had decided that when this person left the mythical island, they must find a way to kill him. Inside the dragon seal space. Master, do you really want to give up on entering the mythical island's secret territory? I can tell you clearly that there is something very important to you in the mythical island's secret territory. If you give it up in vain. Although Long Fu didn't finish his words, the meaning of his words was very clear. Longao's mouth evoked a meaningful smile and said, "The mythical island's strength is there. If I don't compromise, whether I can leave the mythical island or not is a problem. Then, I will really lose the opportunity to enter the mythical island's secret territory." Master, what do you mean? Longao mysteriously smiled and didn't continue. According to the opening time of the mythical island's secret territory, it would open tomorrow morning. Therefore, tonight, everyone would cultivate with all their strength and prepare to enter the mythical island's secret territory tomorrow. On the mythical island, the dark night was very quiet. More than 100 people were cultivating. Longao quietly sat on the ground. He didn't cultivate, nor did he comprehend the primal chaos stone tablet. He didn't comprehend the Tao of divination. At this moment, Longao was fully focused on comprehending the so-called 5 elements heaven-swallowing art. The 5 elements heaven-swallowing art had 5 major arts. They were the metal element art, wood element art, water element art, fire element art, and earth element art. Among the 5 elements arts, Longao's first choice was the earth element art. The reason was very simple. Among the 5 elements heaven-swallowing art, only the earth element art could be cultivated at any time. This was because the earth element art could allow one to comprehend the power of the earth element. Longao once thought that since he had comprehended the 5 elements heaven-swallowing art, wouldn't the primal chaos stone tablet be useless? However, according to what Long Fu and the primordial divine dragon had said, although the primal chaos stone tablet itself was very powerful, the martial skills and cultivation methods that it contained were the most important. Even so, Longao didn't plan on abandoning the primal chaos stone tablet. After all, the primal chaos stone tablet wasn't under his control. The 5 elements heaven-swallowing art was the most powerful cultivation method and martial skill in the world. Even Longao would find it very difficult to comprehend it. Unknowingly, the sky had already begun to brighten. At this moment, Yi Wuling suddenly appeared. He looked at the 100 people in front of him and said, "All of you, follow me." Yi Wuling had long forgotten about Longao. Therefore, from beginning to end, he didn't even look at him. In fact, Longao was already gone. As for where he went, no one knew because at this time, everyone was conserving their strength and preparing to enter the mythical island's secret realm. Who would have the mind to care about a piece of trash? In this way, everyone followed Yi Wuling and left. After a short while, everyone had already arrived at a huge valley. In front of them was a spatial stone door. The mythical island's secret realm would automatically open every 3 years for a day. Each time, a total of 100 people could enter. Once this number was exceeded, all the 100 people who entered would be obliterated and unable to leave the mythical island's secret realm. Because of this, every time the mythical island's secret realm opened, the mythical island would strictly limit the number of people who could enter. Therefore, except for the first few sessions of the mythical island's secret realm, there were no more incidents after that. Everyone, listen carefully. You only have 1 month to enter the mythical island's secret realm. After 1 month, I will be here to guide you out. If you exceed 1 month, you will be responsible for the consequences. After thinking about it, Yi Wuling continued, if you exceed the time limit and are unable to leave the mythical island's secret realm, you will be obliterated by the mythical island's secret realm. Now, enter. More than 100 people were eager to try. One by one, they filed in. Everyone looked incomparably excited. After all, this was an opportunity that only came once every 3 years. If they missed it, they were afraid that they would lose it for the rest of their lives. 90 people had already entered. When only 10 people were left, a figure suddenly appeared in front of the spatial stone door. It was none other than Longao. Chapter 665. Longao suddenly appeared. Without hesitation, Longao had already decided that no matter what happened this time, he would enter the mysterious territory of the Divine Island. The remaining 10 people were all disciples of the Divine Island. Longao's sudden appearance with the help of spatial teleportation scared everyone, including Yi Wuling. The blade light directly enveloped one of the Saint Emperors. Under normal circumstances, it was basically impossible for Longao to kill a Saint Emperor in a head-on battle. But at this time, no one would have thought that someone would dare to come to the Divine Island, especially in front of the mysterious territory of the Divine Island. He was simply courting death. After killing a Saint Emperor with one blade, Longao directly entered the spatial stone door and disappeared without a trace in the blink of an eye. Seeing that Longao had disappeared, everyone was completely dumbfounded. No one thought that Longao would dare to do this. Elder Pa, without waiting for the Divine Island's disciple to speak, Yi Wuling directly slapped him. Yi Wuling's face was gloomy to the extreme, as unsightly as it could be because Longao directly killed a Saint Emperor's disciple under his nose and entered the mysterious territory of the Divine Island. If so, where would his face go? Where would the Divine Island's face go? Not to mention that Longao had entered the mysterious territory of the Divine Island, the Divine Island had lost a spot. The Divine Island could not afford to lose face. Simply courting death. The Divine Island had made the biggest mistake due to carelessness. Yi Wuling clearly knew that he had to bear a lot of responsibility for Longao's sudden appearance. He would not be able to explain it to the Divine Island later. Yi Tian, Yi Ming, do you know what to do? At this time, among the remaining 9 people, 2 stood out. They were Yi Tian and Yi Ming, who Yi Wuling had mentioned. The 2 of them were the most outstanding and talented disciples of the Divine Island. Both of them were Saint Emperors. They were also the strongest people entering the Divine Island's secret territory. Therefore, Yi Wuling's intention was very simple. He wanted the 2 of them to enter the Divine Island's secret territory and kill Longao. Elder, we know what to do. No matter what happens, you have to bring back Longao's head. Yes. After saying this, Yi Tian and Yi Ming led the remaining 9 people into the mysterious territory of the mythical island. Who is this kid? Looking at the middle-aged man who suddenly appeared, Yi Wuling shuddered. He immediately bowed respectfully and said, Island Master, this man is Longao, from the Long family of the Cloud Island. Then, Yi Wuling told the story of Longao in detail. He didn't hide anything from the middle-aged man. The middle-aged man was none other than the island lord of the mystic island, Yi Nantian. Not only was he a supreme Dao warrior, but he was also a divine realm warrior. Rumor had it that the island lord of the mystic island, Yi Nantian, was the strongest warrior in the external endless sea, but no one knew if it was true or not. After listening to the story, Yi Nantian nodded and said coldly, if he was a disciple of the Long family, maybe I would be afraid. But the Long family of the Cloud Island will be destroyed directly. Island Master, I have just sent Yi Tian and Yi Ming into the mysterious territory of the Mystic Island to kill this kid. I believe he will die for sure. Yi Nantian was very clear about the strength of Yi Tian and Yi Ming. He nodded and said, come with me. I have something to tell you. Yes, Island Master. The mysterious territory of the Mystic Island had been closed. It would be opened 1 month later. Every time the mysterious territory of the Mystic Island opened, it would be smooth sailing. But this time, the mysterious territory of the Mystic Island was peaceful. Suddenly, a reckless Longao appeared in the mysterious territory of the Mystic Island. He was just a little Earth Saint, but he sneakily killed a Saint King and entered the mysterious territory of the Mystic Island. In everyone's eyes, Longao's actions were completely provocative. He was provoking the Mystic Island, the #1 power in the external endless sea. In an instant, Longao became famous in the external endless sea. Everyone was searching for Longao's identity. Not long after, Longao's identity was revealed. He was a member of the Long family of the Cloud Island, and he was not a disciple of the top 10 islands. Because of this, everyone couldn't understand why Longao would do this. Could it be that Longao was really confident in fighting against the entire Mystic Island? Even if Longao entered the mysterious territory of the Mystic Island, would he not come out? It should be known that the mysterious territory of the Mystic Island had always been on the Mystic Island. If Longao came out, it would be impossible for him to leave the Mystic Island alive. Therefore, in the eyes of outsiders, Longao would definitely die for provoking the Mystic Island this time. In the external endless sea, the Mystic Island, the mysterious territory of the Mystic Island. Longao entered the mysterious territory of the Mystic Island smoothly, which was beyond everyone's expectations. Longao had decided to do this last night. According to Longao's character, it was impossible for him to hand over the quota to enter the mysterious territory of the Mystic Island for nothing. He had worked so hard to get the key. Why would he give it to the mysterious territory of the Mystic Island for nothing? However, Longao was not a fool. Of course, he knew that with his strength, it was impossible to fight against the Mystic Island. He could only endure for the time being. As a result, Longao chose to completely break off his relationship with the Mystic Island. As for whether he would be attacked by the Mystic Island after a month, that was a matter for the future. Anyway, he had decided to enter the mysterious territory of the Mystic Island. The mysterious territory of the Mystic Island was another world. It was no different from the 9 nether space. As for whether the mysterious territory of the Mystic Island was an independent existence, or a part of the mainland, it was unknown. There was a dense forest, a huge mountain peak, a sun, and white clouds. If it weren't for the space stone door, everyone would think that this place was the outside world, not the so-called mysterious territory of the Mystic Island. Longao had a feeling that he had returned to the 9 continents. As soon as he landed, Longao immediately used the space teleportation and disappeared. Then, Yi Tian and Yi Ming appeared. However, the people who had entered the mysterious territory of the Mystic Island before didn't know what had happened. It was not easy to enter the mysterious territory of the Mystic Island. Everyone was still in a state of excitement. At first, they didn't care about Longao. As soon as Yi Tian and Yi Ming entered, they immediately gathered all the disciples of the Mystic Island and informed the disciples of the 10 major islands. A total of 99 people were to chase after Longao. The meaning of Yi Tian and Yi Ming was very simple. Anyone who could kill Longao would receive a great reward from the Mystic Island. As the saying goes, when there is a great reward, there will be brave men. Not to mention, the Mystic Island had spoken. The 10 major islands would certainly give the Mystic Island face. When everyone knew about Longao's matter, they were all shocked. They had seen arrogant people, but they had never seen such an arrogant person. He was simply arrogant to the extreme. He didn't even put the Mystic Island in his eyes. Longao's action was already a provocation to the Mystic Island. Because of this, no one could understand. Even though Longao had entered the mysterious territory of the Mystic Island and wanted to leave, no one despised him. Instead, they admired him. This was because such an action was not something that everyone could do. They asked themselves, could they do it? P.S. The remaining 3 chapters will be delivered later. Chapter 666. Yi Tian and Yi Ming split up to search. According to the marvelous mathematician, as long as he could find one thing in the mysterious realm of the Divine Island, he would complete the task. Longao was very depressed about the 3 trials set up by the marvelous mathematician. The first trial of the 3 trials, the mysterious territory of the Divine Island, was already full of difficulties. It was hard to imagine what the next 2 trials would be like. Longao was not surprised at all. No matter what, the clairvoyant master's divination was peerless. He believed that the clairvoyant master had already calculated the things in the Mystic Island's secret realm. Because of this, Longao entered the Mystic Island's secret realm and directly flew towards the east. His speed was very fast. Even so, Longao was still intercepted by Yi Tian. Inside the Mystic Island's secret realm. Longao, today I'm going to tear you into pieces. The Mystic Island sent a total of 12 Saint Emperors to enter the Mystic Island's secret realm. Among them, Yi Tian and Yi Ming were peak Saint Emperors. The rest were all Saint Emperors. One could imagine how powerful the Mystic Island was. Yi Tian led 5 Saint Emperors and 10 Saint Emperors to intercept Longao. Not to mention 15 people, even if any one of them casually came out, they could easily defeat Longao. Longao was clear about this, and so were the 15 people. Longao was very dignified, but he was not afraid because he could teleport. Even if he could not fight them head-on, at least he could run. He believed that none of the 15 people could catch up with him. Seeing Longao motionless, the 15 people's faces were full of contempt and disdain. Everyone thought that Longao was scared out of his wits. 5 Saint Emperors and 10 Saint Emperors. No matter where they were, such strength could not be underestimated. Longao. Before Yi Tian finished speaking, Longao had already taken the initiative. At the same time, an illusory dragon shadow suddenly appeared behind him. The other party took the initiative to attack first. The 15 of them had never thought that Longao would suddenly attack. In their carelessness, they were shocked to find that their bodies had been locked down, and the space around them had even started to flow backwards. Just what was going on? If it were an ordinary person, it would be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for them to temporarily control 15 people. After all, Longao's spatial teleportation was right there. Once he used spatial teleportation, even under normal circumstances, the 15 of them might not be able to catch up with Longao, let alone now. However, Longao wasn't an ordinary person. He managed to temporarily lock onto 15 people, but Longao didn't leave. Instead, he charged forward. Blood-sucking wild blade. Longao had directly used the blood-sucking saber art for this attack. Moreover, it was one strike after another. This kind of power was like a monstrous wave. As it continued to stack, the power would also increase. The blood-sucking saber art had a total of 8 moves. The first move was Yellow Spring's 9 consecutive strikes. The second move was Heart-Devouring Ice. The third move was Raging Flame Sea. The fourth move was World-Extinguishing Blade Light. The fifth move was Myriad Bones Devouring Soul. The sixth move was Meteor Explosion. The seventh move was Tearing Heaven and Earth. The 8 moves of Blood-Sucking Wild Blade instantly overlapped and merged into the final move. This was the so-called Devouring Heaven. The blade light slashed out as if it could devour everything. The 15 of them were completely terrified. They had never imagined that not only could their opponent lock onto them, but that this attack had already surpassed their understanding. The 15 of them weren't fools. They naturally knew how terrifying this attack was. Once they were devoured, there was only one result. They would die without a burial ground. If they were alone, they definitely wouldn't be able to block this attack. However, the problem right now was that 15 powerful cultivators, 5 Saint Emperors and 10 Saint Kings, had worked together to break through the lock and break the flow of time in the surroundings. However, even with that being the case, the 15 of them were still forced to scatter in all directions. They didn't dare to fight force with force. 15 super powerful martial artists were actually scared off by an Earth Sage. If this matter were to spread out, no one would believe it. The space was forcibly torn apart. The terrifying spatial crack seemed to be able to devour everything. The 15 of them were so frightened that they swallowed their saliva. When the spatial crack disappeared, the 15 of them realized that there was still someone they hadn't dealt with yet. However, when they wanted to continue looking for Longao, they discovered that he had already disappeared. They had no idea where he went. Not long after, Yi Ming and the others rushed over. Seeing Yi Tian's gloomy face, Yi Ming asked impatiently, "Where is he?" Shaking his head, Yi Tian still couldn't believe everything that had just happened. They were almost killed by a mere earth sage. Was this true? Yi Tian didn't hide anything and told them everything. After hearing it, Yi Ming and the others were shocked. It seems that this person isn't simple. However, as far as I know, the Cloud Island's Long family is only a rank 4 Long family. It's impossible for anyone to awaken their innate ability. Not only Yi Ming, but even Yi Tian had already guessed that the innate ability Longao used was the rumored Long family's innate ability. Of course, the two of them knew what innate ability meant. Long family was divided into 9 ranks. According to legends, only rank 3 Long family's disciples could enter the Dragon Valley to find their dragon companions and become a dragon martial artist. Only by becoming a dragon martial artist could they have the opportunity to enter the Long family's ancestral hall. Once they awakened their bloodline, they would have the innate ability. The two of them clearly knew the power of the innate ability. Then what should we do now? Let's put this person aside first. For so many years, our God's Island has been looking for that thing, but we haven't been able to find it. This time, the Island Master has given us a death order. No matter what, we have to find it. Otherwise, we will all be in big trouble. Nodding his head, Yi Tian was still somewhat unwilling and asked, "Are we going to let this person go?" He was almost killed by this person. If he couldn't kill this person, Yi Tian was very clear that this matter would become a demon in his heart. It would be a great hindrance to his future cultivation. Because of this, Yi Tian kept telling himself that no matter what happened, this person must die. Yi Ming sighed deeply in his heart. How could he not know what Yi Tian was thinking? However, they didn't dare to disobey the Island Master's order. After all, they could only enter the God's Island secret realm every 3 years. If they missed it, they would have to wait for the next opening of the God's Island secret realm. "Yi Tian, I know you are unwilling, but," waving his hand, Yi Tian seemed to have made a decision. With a firm expression, he said, "Yi Ming, let's split into 2. You take everyone to find the thing that the Island Master is looking for, and I will kill this person. If I don't kill this person, I swear that I am not a human. I don't believe that a little Earth Saint can make any big waves." Chapter 667. Yi Tian, if the Island Lord finds out about this, we will all be in trouble. Will you keep this a secret? Yi Tian's body emitted a powerful murderous aura. It seemed like Yi Tian really wanted to kill them. As the most outstanding disciple of the Divine Island, when had Yi Tian suffered such humiliation? He was almost killed by an Earth Saint. If this matter was spread out, where would his face go? Everyone shuddered. Of course, no one would choose to provoke Yi Tian at this time. "We swear to keep this a secret. Yi Ming, it's fine now." Since things had already reached this point, Yi Ming knew that he had no other choice. After all, Yi Tian had already made his decision. Among the 2 strongest people who entered the Divine Island's secret realm, besides him, the other was Yi Tian. In other words, neither of them could control the other. Therefore, since Yi Tian had already made his decision, he couldn't say anything. Yi Ming understood Yi Tian's character very well. If he continued to stop him, Yi Ming could imagine that Yi Tian would definitely fall out with him. "Then be careful." "Ha ha ha, me, be careful? Yi Ming, you overestimate Longao." The more Yi Ming acted like this, the angrier Yi Tian became. His murderous aura surged because in Yi Tian's opinion, Yi Ming was obviously mocking him. He was almost killed by an Earth Saint. No matter what kind of trump card the other party had, this shouldn't have happened. "Senior brother, Longao's strength is indeed very strong. Although he is only an Earth Saint, I have never seen his innate ability before. If senior brother Yi Tian goes, I will be worried." Yi Ming waved his hand. How could he not know what his junior brother was talking about? Yi Ming's expression was also extremely ugly because he and Yi Tian were cousins. If something happened to Yi Tian, he would definitely be the first to disagree. In any case, Yi Tian's strength is there. We don't have many chances. The island master has already given a death order. This time, we must find that thing. So, we will go and find it first. 1 month later, Longao will die. Longao was somewhat unreconciled that he didn't succeed in killing 15 people. After all, the opportunity just now was extremely rare. It was almost impossible to have a second chance. He didn't continue to dwell on this issue. The main purpose of entering the mysterious territory of the mythical island this time was to find his target. As for the mythical island, he would think about it later. According to the marvelous mathematician, this treasure was hidden in a nameless valley in the center of the mysterious territory of the divine island. Because of this, Longao shot toward the center of the mysterious realm of the divine island with all his strength. Yi Ming and Yi Tian didn't know the real purpose of Longao entering the mysterious realm of the divine island. They thought that Longao was the same as the disciples of the 10 major islands. They all wanted to enter the mysterious realm of the divine island to cultivate. However, only the people of the divine island knew about the treasures in the mysterious territory of the divine island. As for the others, including the disciples of the 10 great islands, they didn't know about it. Therefore, every time the mysterious land of the divine island was opened, the disciples of the divine island would enter to search for treasures in addition to cultivating. However, the disciples of the top 10 islands were here to cultivate. However, for so many years, no matter who the divine island sent into the divine island secret territory, they couldn't find this treasure. They couldn't even find it in this valley. Longao was very clear that if the marvelous mathematician hadn't told him, he definitely wouldn't have found it. This was the so-called Tao of divine divination. Longao yearned for the marvelous mathematician's Tao of divine divination very much. It was also because he had witnessed the power of the Tao of divine divination that Longao began to work even harder to comprehend the Tao of divine divination. He hoped that one day, he would truly comprehend the Tao of divine divination. Without the slightest obstruction, Longao easily arrived at the nameless valley. Longao was very curious. According to Long Bai, the mysterious realm of the divine island was full of danger. The slightest carelessness could lead to eternal damnation. However, the problem now was that his journey here had been smooth sailing. He hadn't encountered any danger at all. The more this was the case, the more careful Longao became. He didn't dare to be careless in the slightest. He was on full alert and vigilant of his surroundings, ready to deal with any danger at any time. The nameless valley was shrouded in black fog. From the outside, it was impossible to tell that there was a huge valley in front of him. There was no need for him to enter. Longao already knew that there were no dangers in the valley. Just the air currents alone were enough to destroy him in a matter of minutes. Longao didn't enter rashly. Instead, he entered the dragon seal space. Long Fu, do you know what exactly is in the valley? Longao was very depressed. From the beginning to the end, he didn't know what he was going to obtain in the mysterious realm of the divine island. The marvelous mathematician hadn't said anything from the beginning. He had only told him to enter the mysterious realm of the divine island and find this valley to enter. The marvelous mathematician's words were very simple. Once he entered the valley, the treasure would automatically summon him. Was it really that mysterious? Longao could clearly sense the danger in the valley. Therefore, he wanted to ask Long Fu about it. Long Fu thought for a while and said, "Master, the marvelous mathematician's art of divination is the most powerful martial technique in the world. It is even more powerful than the 5 elements heaven swallowing technique. Therefore, I don't have the art of divination and don't know what treasure is in there. If even Long Fu didn't know, this would be difficult." Did he really have to force his way in? He obviously knew that the valley was full of danger. Yet, he still wanted to force his way in. This was simply stupid. However, he had no choice but to enter. He had gone through so much and even offended the Divine Island in order to complete the 3 tests and successfully break through to the illusionary divine stage. Longao was very confident. As long as he could break through to the Great Emperor realm, he could lead the sect to fight back against the 4 great forces. More importantly, once he broke through to the Great Emperor realm, he could leave Tianju and go out to look for Yu Yin and Aoshue. All along, Aoshue and Yu Yin had been his biggest concern. Therefore, this test was extremely important to him. No matter what, he had to pass it successfully and obtain the reward. Long Fu, what is in the valley? Why can I sense danger? Master, I have already sensed it. This valley is very strange. Other than the origin energy, there is also a very strange force. If I am not mistaken, the so-called danger that you sensed should be this strange force. Longao was very surprised. This was because he had never thought that the valley in front of him would have the origin energy. If that was the case, why had so many people entered the secret territory of the Divine Island but not discovered this place? Longao was very solemn. Since it was a strange power that even Long Fu was afraid of, it was obvious just how terrifying this strange power was. Chapter 668. Long Fu, how should I enter? Do I have to force my way in? Force his way in. The first method that appeared in Longao's mind was to force his way in. But Longao knew very well that he had not yet figured out what the strange power was. If he rashly tried to force his way in, the success rate would not exceed 30%. Master, this strange power belongs to the dark power, and it is still the same. As long as Master can release the thunder and lightning shield, I believe you can temporarily resist this strange power. He was overjoyed. For the power of thunder and lightning, perhaps the power of thunder and lightning in his body was not enough, but he had the blood-sucking blade. But the blood-sucking blade had not only fused with the 5-clawed golden dragon, but also with the divine thunder bead. Without continuing to ask, Longao held the blood-sucking blade and walked into the valley step by step, slowly disappearing into the black fog. With the help of the blood-sucking blade, a thunder and lightning shield appeared around Longao's body. As Long Fu had predicted, the strange airflow also belonged to the dark power, and the power of thunder and lightning was the nemesis of the dark power. The power of thunder and lightning forcibly split open a small space, and Longao was completely safe in it. It could be said that he knew nothing about the valley. What exactly is it? According to the divine mathematician, once he entered the valley, this treasure would take the initiative to summon him. Although the divine mathematician had the divine mathematician Dao, Longao was still a bit incredulous, because he had been in the valley for a few minutes, but there was still nothing summoning him. Longao began to lose his patience, because the strange power in the valley was too strong. He could not relax at all. Once he relaxed, he would be swallowed by this strange power and die without a burial place. He was just about to go out and have a good rest, and then come in later to sense. But at this moment, Longao suddenly felt that something was wrong, and it seemed to be coming from the front. This aura was very weak, but Longao could clearly sense that this aura was summoning him. If he had not experienced it personally, he would have found it hard to believe that this kind of thing really happened. Longao even suspected that the treasures in the valley had been arranged by the oracle. In any case, Master God Diviner wouldn't have been so confident if he hadn't been 100% certain that he would succeed. But no matter what, Longao couldn't do anything about it even though he knew that it was all part of Master Clairvoyant's plan. For some reason, Longao felt as if he were a chess piece, and Master God Diviner was the one controlling him. Simply put, whenever the God Diviner felt that he was useless, he could destroy him at any time. If that was the case, then it would be too terrifying. It was also because of this that Longao secretly told himself that no matter what, he would not become a chess piece. The only way to not become a chess piece was to grow as fast as possible and become a martialist at the peak of martial arts. Longao didn't continue to think about these things, because he knew that the first step to not becoming a chess piece was to complete the 3 trials, obtain the rewards, and become a great emperor. Longao walked slowly towards the direction that was summoning him. He was still very careful, because the valley was too strange. No one knew what would happen. As the saying went, it was better to be safe than sorry. Slowly, Longao reached the deepest part of the valley. The deeper he went, the clearer Longao felt that something was calling him. He had arrived. Longao stared at the thing in front of him, swallowing hard. He had never imagined that the thing that Master God Diviner had called out to him was not a thing at all, but a huge black dragon. It was hovering there like a mountain. Longao swallowed hard, not daring to move. At this moment, the black dragon was sleeping soundly. If he woke it up, he would have to bear the consequences. He cursed in his heart. Could it be that Master God Diviner wanted him to bring the black dragon back? If that was the case, Longao would choose to give up directly, because the aura of the black dragon was there. Without a doubt, Longao could clearly sense that the black dragon in front of him was a genuine divine beast, which was the so-called divine dragon. What the hell was Master God Diviner doing? Longao, your first trial is very simple. As long as you can take the divine dragon crown from the black dragon, you will have successfully passed the first trial. As your reward, you will receive the corresponding reward, and your cultivation will directly break through to the heavenly saint realm. It was Master God Diviner's voice. Hearing Master God Diviner's voice, Longao was startled at first. Then, Longao didn't know where Master God Diviner was. Because of this, he was 100% sure that all of this had been arranged by Master God Diviner. Longao couldn't figure out whether Master God Diviner was here or not. Before Longao could ask, Long Fu's voice was heard. Master God Diviner didn't appear. He just left his voice here in advance. There is no doubt that all of this was arranged by Master God Diviner. So, Master, I can tell you clearly that Master God Diviner is very terrifying. He is more terrifying than you can imagine. There was a hidden meaning in his words. Longao wasn't a fool. Of course, he could tell that Long Fu's words had many meanings. Was there something different about Master God Diviner? Longao didn't continue to ask, because he had always known that if Long Fu wanted to say something, he didn't need to ask. He believed that Long Fu would say it. However, if Long Fu didn't want to say more, no matter how much he asked, he believed that Long Fu wouldn't say anything. In that case, why was he so bored? No matter what Master God Diviner did, with his current strength, there was no way he could peak at the peak of martial arts. However, there was one thing that Longao was very sure of. Just as Long Fu said, Master God Diviner had left his voice in advance. There was no doubt that all of this was arranged by Master God Diviner. Dragon Crown? Longao didn't know what the Dragon Crown was. But at this time, Longao suddenly heard a message in his mind. He didn't resist. Longao knew very well that Master God Diviner had left this message in advance. There was no doubt about it. He had already guessed what the message was. It was about the Dragon Crown. Sure enough. The message from Master God Diviner was indeed about the Dragon Crown. The meaning was very simple. It was to introduce the Dragon Crown. After roughly digesting it, Longao's expression became more and more shocked, because he was shocked by the identity of the Divine Dragon Crown. It was simply 100 times more awesome than the Divine Dragon Pearl. As everyone knew, the Divine Dragon Pearl was something that every generation of Dragon God must have, but the Divine Dragon Crown, once possessed, could achieve supreme position. P.S. Chapter 5 has been delivered. Rest. Continue tomorrow. Chapter 669. The Dragon God Crown. Longao still did not know how powerful the Dragon God Crown was. However, since it was something that the clairvoyant master needed, he had to take it away regardless of whether it was dangerous. However, the black dragon in front of him was still a divine dragon. Would he be able to fight against a divine dragon? Longao knew very well that if a martial artist of the same level were to fight against a divine dragon, he would not be a match for the divine dragon. After all, a godly beast was born with an advantage. Furthermore, the physical defense of a divine dragon was not something that a martial artist could easily go against. Longao did not dare to act rashly. If he made a mistake, he would be killed by the divine dragon in an instant. What should he do? After thinking about it, Longao did not know what to do. The dragon tribe was famous for being able to sleep. As long as he did not make too much noise, he would not wake the divine dragon up. In other words, Longao was still safe for the time being. Hey! Longao looked left and right. Finally, he found the so-called divine dragon crown in front of the divine dragon's jaw. Although he saw it, it was not an easy thing to obtain it. Longao knew very well that once he woke the divine dragon up, he would not be able to escape. However, could he choose to give up? Obviously not. As such, Longao was prepared to take the risk. Previously, the clairvoyant master had said that once he successfully obtained the dragon god crown, he would be able to become a heavenly sage. 8th level illusionary divine. Under normal circumstances, it was easier said than done to break through from the earth sage to the heavenly sage. It would take at least a year or even longer. However, with such an opportunity in front of him, how could Longao choose to give it up so easily? In the end, Longao could only choose to use spatial teleportation. Other than that, he could not think of any other way to snatch the dragon god crown from the divine dragon. Without further hesitation, Longao knew very well that the longer he delayed, the more disadvantageous it would be for him. Spatial teleportation. Longao disappeared from where he was and instantly appeared in front of the divine dragon. Before the divine dragon could react, Longao had already grabbed the dragon god crown. He was overjoyed. With the dragon god crown, Longao knew that he had successfully passed the first stage. Although he didn't know how the oracle could help him break through to the heavenly saint realm, he knew that as the strongest person in the world, the oracle must have a way. Just as Longao was about to leave, he suddenly realized that the sleeping dragon had opened its terrifying eyes. The dragon's breath instantly enveloped Longao, and a cold voice sounded. "Shameless human, you actually dared to steal my divine dragon crown. Die." Longao was shocked. He was afraid of the other party and did not dare to be careless. He immediately used spatial teleportation and prepared to escape. As for whether he would be hunted down by the mystical dragon, he would see when the time came. As expected, Longao's spatial teleportation was extremely powerful. Even with the strength of the divine dragon, he couldn't lock onto the spatial teleportation. Just like that, he vanished into thin air right under the divine dragon's nose. Looking at the disappearing figure, the divine dragon was completely dumbfounded. It didn't know what had happened. However, the endless anger made the divine dragon soar directly. The dragon's shadow covered the sky and the sun. The terrifying dragon's breath spread in all directions and directly shrouded the entire divine island secret realm. No matter who it was, they could clearly feel the existence of the dragon's breath. Yi Tian and Yi Ming, who were in different places, raised their heads at the same time. Looking at the dragon in the distance, everyone swallowed hard and their faces were full of shock. "Senior brother, is this the divine dragon?" Nodding his head, Yi Ming didn't dare to move because he could clearly feel that the divine dragon's target wasn't them. There was no need to provoke such a powerful enemy. Longao, who had left with spatial teleportation, wasn't as excited as he imagined. Because he knew that he could hide for a while, but he couldn't hide forever. Unless he could leave the divine island secret realm and enter the outer sea, then he would be safe. Otherwise, his life would be in danger at any time. Longao didn't dare to have the slightest carelessness. After leaving the valley, he didn't walk on land or fly in the air. Instead, he chose the simplest and least likely to be discovered, which was underground. That's right, underground. Under normal circumstances, it was not easy for even an Earth Saint warrior to walk freely underground. However, Longao's situation was completely different. The netherworld tiger of the 9 nether underworld was the so-called Dragon Underworld. With the help of the power of Dragon Underworld, Longao smoothly entered the underground. Because of this, the divine dragon couldn't find Longao no matter how hard he tried. The divine dragon's face was gloomy to the extreme. As the most powerful dragon clan in the world, the so-called divine dragon crown was taken away under his nose. If this matter was spread out, where would his face go? Where would the dragon clan's face go? The Divine Island secret realm was now full of danger. All the people on the Divine Island and the 10 islands were so scared that they hid. Until now, no one knew what had happened and why a divine dragon suddenly appeared in the Divine Island secret realm. Underground. Longao sat quietly underground to comprehend the Earth elemental formula. It was very simple. Longao had just stepped into the ground when he was pleasantly surprised in his heart. That was because he had discovered one thing. The so-called 5 elements heaven-swallowing art needed to have a corresponding invisible complement. This way, he could get twice the result with half the effort. Because of this, Longao did not cultivate, but wholeheartedly comprehended the Earth elemental formula. The 5 elements heaven-devouring formula was divided into the metal elemental formula, the wood elemental formula, the water elemental formula, the fire elemental formula, and the earth elemental formula. Among the 5 elements heaven-devouring formula, Longao first sensed the earth elemental formula. For some reason, Longao always had a feeling that the so-called earth elemental formula was the best to sense among the 5 elements heaven-devouring formula. Metal, wood, water, fire, and earth, the reincarnation of the 5 elements. Longao's intuition told him that once he cultivated the 5 elements heaven-devouring formula and reached the so-called peak, the reincarnation of the 5 elements would be one of the most powerful forces in the world. It was easy to talk about the reincarnation of the 5 elements, but it was extremely difficult to comprehend it. Longao certainly knew this clearly. 5 elements heaven-devouring formula. Longao sat quietly underground, using the mental cultivation method of the earth elemental formula to comprehend the earth elemental force around him. He had to admit that it was much easier to comprehend the earth elemental force in this environment. However, Longao was very clear that comprehending the earth elemental force and truly comprehending the earth elemental formula were 2 different things, but it was still a good thing. In this way, Longao was comprehending the earth elemental formula underground, and the divine dragon was constantly looking for Longao in the 9 heavens. Unknowingly, a month had passed in the blink of an eye. The Divine Island secret realm would only open for a month. As for missing the time and being unable to leave, there was only one result, which was death. Today was the day to leave the Divine Island secret realm. Longao was very clear that if he did not leave today, he would have to wait for 3 more years. If he had nothing to do, cultivating here for 3 years might not be a bad thing. The problem now was that he had a lot of things to do. Not to mention 3 years, he could not even wait for a moment. However, the divine dragon was outside. Once he left the underground, he knew what the result would be. Chapter 670. After thinking for a while, Longao finally decided to leave the underground. No matter what, he had to find a way to get out of here today. As soon as Longao left the underground, he sensed a horrible dragon breath, still sweeping around. There was no surprise in his heart, because Longao had already guessed that Shenron would definitely not give up. Space teleportation. Longao continuously used space teleportation, and instantly appeared 100 meters away. Then, he rushed forward with all his strength. 9 days. The 300 Zhong Long dragon shadow swept for an entire month's time, but it still did not find any trace of Longao. Longao rushed to the exit as fast as he could. At this time, only about 30% of the 99 people who had entered the mysterious territory of the Divine Island were left. Everyone rushed to the exit. If it was an ordinary person, it would really be impossible to find Longao. But Shenron was different. Just as Ao Long arrived at the exit and was about to leave, the divine dragon's aura had already enveloped everyone. Yi Tian and Yi Ming saw Ao Long suddenly appear. Just as they were about to attack, they were suddenly suppressed by the divine dragon's aura. They were so frightened that they did not dare to move. Longao was shocked. With a backhand knife, he didn't give Shenron the slightest chance at all. He stepped into the exit and disappeared in the mysterious island. Outside the mysterious island, Yi Wuling stared at the space stone door in front of him, because a month had passed. If Longao didn't die, then he would definitely come out from here. At that time, he would cut Longao into pieces. Since Longao's matter came out, the mysterious island's face was completely lost. Everyone was talking about the mysterious island. Therefore, there was only one solution now, and that was to kill Longao. Suddenly, Longao's figure appeared in the cave of the space stone door. Looking at Longao in front of him, Yi Wuling's heart was suddenly happy. Just as he was about to make a move, a terrifying dragon breath rushed over, like the waves of the sea, wave after wave, almost directly obliterating Yi Wuling. Shocked, Yi Wuling certainly knew what had happened. As expected. At this time, a 300-meter-long black dragon suddenly appeared, scaring Yi Wuling into letting out a cry. It turned out that the giant black dragon was a heavenly god. With Yi Wuling's strength, he was just a small joke in front of the giant black dragon. Longao didn't care about the mythical island, nor did he care about the weakened soul. He directly used the so-called spatial teleportation. In just a few seconds, Longao's figure appeared at the seaside. The black dragon's speed was extremely fast. It was not inferior to Longao's teleportation. However, the black dragon was still a step too late because Longao had already entered the bottom of the sea and disappeared without a trace. Although the black dragon was incomparably powerful, it did not dare to enter the seabed. It turned out that the black dragon was most afraid of water. Once it entered the seabed, its strength would be greatly reduced. What if it encountered a powerful enemy? The anger in his heart erupted like a volcano. How could the dragon god swallow the fact that the dragon god crown was snatched away right under his nose? Although he couldn't find Longao, the dragon god couldn't swallow this anger. He could only vent his endless anger on the mythical island, preparing to destroy it directly. However, at this time, the mythical island's master, Yi Nantian, suddenly appeared. Looking at the black dragon in front of him, Yi Nantian didn't have the slightest fear. He indifferently said, "Black dragon, after so many years, you are still so hot-tempered." "Humph, Yi Nantian, no matter when, I will never forget the grudge between your grandfather and I. I will settle this account with your mythical island sooner or later. Ha ha ha, black dragon, it's not that I look down on you. That year, my grandfather sealed you in the mythical island's secret realm. I can seal you again now. However, if you are willing to hand over the dragon god crown, I can consider letting you go." The dragon god crown had been stolen. Of course, the dragon god couldn't take it out. However, the dragon god wouldn't tell Yi Nantian. No matter what, the dragon god cared about his face the most. The dragon god was afraid. This in itself showed that Yi Nantian's strength was far above the dragon god crown's. That was why the dragon god crown stared at Yi Nantian. Suddenly, the dragon god crown turned around and left. After a short while, he had already disappeared in the sky. Yi Nantian didn't chase after him. It seemed like he had a card up his sleeve. The corner of his mouth slowly curved up with a trace of a cold smile. Yi Nantian said to himself, "Black dragon, one day, I will make you hand over the dragon god crown obediently." Nantian, after the dragon god crown left this time, I believe that not long after, the Long family and the dragon race will come in large numbers. Are you really ready? Looking at the ancestor who suddenly appeared, Yi Nantian, as the lord of the mythical island, actually respectfully saluted and said, "Grandfather, everything is ready. This time, the Long family and the dragon race will come. I will definitely succeed." The old man who just appeared was none other than Yi Nantian's grandfather. He was also the real #1 powerhouse of the mythical island. The old man's expression was very dignified. No matter what, the Long family and the dragon race's strength were there. If they were careless, the mythical island would fall into eternal damnation. "Grandfather, I know what you are worried about. The reason why we failed in the past wasn't that our mythical island was weak. It was that the time and place didn't help us. This time, I believe that we will succeed." Since the matter had already reached this point, the old man could only nod and agree. "Since that is the case, you must be careful. If we really can't do it, we can only ask for help." "Grandfather." Before the old man could finish his words, Yi Nantian had already interrupted him and said, "Grandfather, I just said that this time, I will definitely succeed. I won't ask for help from anyone. Of course, I won't do anything that you haven't done yet. Nantien, you have to know that once we fail, not only you and me, even the entire mythical island will be destroyed. Long family and the dragon race. Although we are in great danger, there are also great opportunities. Once we succeed, not only in the external endless sea, but also in the Tianwu continent, we can also get a share of the profits. Therefore, this time, we can only win and not lose. Looking at his grandson's confident face, the old man didn't know why he always felt that this matter was somewhat inappropriate. However, he and his grandson had been waiting for this day for hundreds of years. If they didn't give it a try, they wouldn't be reconciled. The matter of the mythical island's secret territory was temporarily closed. The Longao's smooth departure and the Black Dragon's sudden appearance instantly spread throughout the external endless sea. It could be said that the Longao was now a famous person in the external endless sea. However, compared to the Black Dragon, he was nothing. That was because the topic of everyone's greed was always the Black Dragon, not the so-called Longao. Yi Tian and Yi Ming's smooth return made the people of the mythical island heave a long sigh of relief. Whether it was Yi Tian or Yi Ming, both of them had broken through and reached the divine realm. Chapter 671. At the bottom of the outer sea. In the Crystal Palace. Looking at the dragon god crown in his hand, the Master Clairvoyant's face was full of admiration. He nodded and said, "You have successfully passed the first stage. Senior Master Clairvoyant, I would like to know. I have successfully passed the first stage, but I don't know how to break through to the Sky Sage realm. It would be extremely difficult for an Earth Sage to break through to the Sky Sage realm from the 8th stage of the illusionary divine realm." However, Longao had risked his life to obtain the Dragon God crown. He was looking forward to seeing how the Master Clairvoyant would help him. The Master Clairvoyant could naturally guess what Longao was thinking. "Don't worry about this. I can help you break through to the Sky Sage realm in 6 hours." Longao was very shocked when he heard that. He really couldn't imagine how the godly mathematician could make him break through from the Earth Saint stage to the Sky Saint stage in a short 6 hours. Since the Master Clairvoyant was unwilling to say, Longao did not continue to ask. Longao did not speak. He stood quietly and waited for the Master Clairvoyant to speak first. This wait lasted for a full 2 hours. "Longao, do you know about the Dragon God crown?" Shaking his head, Longao only knew one thing. The Dragon God crown in the Master Clairvoyant's hands was superior to the Dragon God pearl. The Master Clairvoyant smiled and said, "The Dragon God crown does not belong to this world." "Then where does it belong?" "I don't know. Back then, I accidentally obtained the Divine Dragon crown and gave it to the Primordial Divine Dragon. Originally, I thought that Long Tian and the Primordial Divine Dragon would inherit my mantle and rule this world. However, I didn't expect that the man and the dragon would be too arrogant." With regards to this, Longao had never thought of it. Longao could not understand. Since the Master Clairvoyant had given the Dragon God crown to the Primordial Divine Dragon, why would the Dragon God crown appear in the mysterious realm of the mythical island? All of this seemed so mysterious. Once the Dragon God crown is fused with the Dragon God crown, his cultivation speed will increase greatly. Not only that, once he fuses with the Dragon God crown, he will not die no matter what. Death-avoiding Divine Dragon Crown. If the Divine Dragon Crown was as powerful as the Oracle said, then why was the Primordial Divine Dragon killed by the Oracle back then? Before Longao could say anything, Master God Diviner said, if the Primeval Divine Dragons had the God Dragon Crown, they wouldn't have perished. "Alright, Longao, since you've already obtained the Divine Dragon Crown, I'll give it to you." Longao had wanted to ask why the Primordial Divine Dragons didn't have the Dragon God Crown, but when he heard that Master God Diviner had given him the Dragon God Crown, he was pleasantly surprised. Although the Divine Dragon Crown was of no use to him, it was the most precious thing to Little Rascal. Once Little Rascal fused with it, it could be said that Little Rascal would have an immortal body in the future. "Thank you, Senior Clairvoyant." Longao also did not have the slightest bit of politeness and immediately took the divine dragon crown from the divine mathematician's hands. Senior clairvoyant, since I've successfully passed the first trial, what are the next 2 trials? Let's talk about that later. Master God Diviner brought Longao to a black space. As soon as Longao stepped in, before Master God Diviner could say anything, Longao's expression changed. At this moment, Longao finally understood why Master God Diviner was so confident that he could break through from the Earth Saint realm to the Sky Saint realm in just 6 hours. It turned out that there was an enormous amount of heaven and earth spiritual energy in this black space. It was hundreds, or even thousands of times stronger than the outside world. But even so, if an ordinary person wanted to break through from the Earth Saint realm to the Sky Saint realm in just 6 hours, could it be that Master God Diviner had already calculated his dragon seal space? At this time, Longao didn't hold back in the slightest. He immediately discussed with Long Fu how they could obtain the greatest benefits in the shortest time possible. In the following time, Long Fu began to refine the heaven and earth spiritual energy in the surroundings. It began to pour into Longao's body. Without a doubt. 6 hours later, Longao's cultivation had smoothly broken through from the Earth Saint realm to the Sky Saint realm. However, his realm was still very unstable. But Longao was already very satisfied. Now, Longao was full of confidence. With his current confidence, even if he met a Sky Saint expert, he would definitely have the strength to fight. You really didn't let me down. To be able to break through from the Earth Saint realm to the Sky Saint realm in just 6 hours, you are the first person since ancient times. Even Tian Dao back then couldn't do this. Many thanks to Master God Diviner for helping me. Longao, you have successfully passed the first trial. Now, the second trial will officially begin. Longao didn't speak. He just stood there quietly. Longao, the second trial is actually very simple. This time, you will return to the 9 states and lead your dragon sect to destroy the 4 great forces within 2 years. Then, you will have passed the second trial. F***CK Hearing the contents of the second trial from Master God Diviner, Longao cursed in his heart. This is called very simple. Even if I want to destroy the 4 great forces, I have to be able to do it. 2 years. Longao didn't want to wait any longer. But since Master God Diviner had already said it, he couldn't choose otherwise. It was just that there were too many variables in 2 years and no one could say for sure. Longao still did not have a definite time for the 1,000 over Supreme Dao inheritances in the sect. He did not know when all of the 1,000 over Supreme Dao inheritances would become Supreme Dao martial artists. At that moment, who in the 9 states would be a match for him and the Dragon Sect? Longao, I have just calculated. If there is nothing else, I advise you to return to the 9 states immediately. Master God Diviner, did something happen in the 9 states? There was a hidden meaning in his words. Longao could hear that there was another meaning in Master God Diviner's words. If there was no accident, it seemed that something had happened in the Dragon Sect. That's right. Longao immediately became nervous. He didn't know what had happened in the Dragon Sect. Longao, everything has been decided by the heavens. You can't force it. Seeing that Master God Diviner didn't want to say more, Longao became even more anxious. Suddenly, Longao said, "My fate is in my own hands, not in the hands of the heavens. My fate has been decided, so I will change it." Longao turned around and left quickly. With the teleportation channel of the Crystal Palace, Longao could return to the Tianju in an instant. This was also where Longao could breathe a sigh of relief. Otherwise, rushing back to the Tianju from the outer sea would delay everything. Looking at the departing figure, Master God Diviner's expression was unreadable. With a deep sigh, Master God Diviner muttered to himself, "My fate is in my own hands, not in the hands of the heavens. Back then, I also tried to change my fate, but in the end, I only ended up like this. Is it possible to change fate?" Master God Diviner laughed at himself, then turned and left the hall, disappearing. Chapter 672. Tianwu Continent. 9 Prefectures. Tianju, Dragon Sect. In the blink of an eye, 4 months had passed since Longao left Dragon Sect. 9 prefectures was already the overlord of Dragon Sect. Ever since the 4 major powers left 9 prefectures, they hadn't entered 9 prefectures. In everyone's eyes, the 4 major powers were truly afraid of Dragon Sect. In other words, the 4 major powers were afraid of Longao. Longao had risen in such a short period of time. Not to mention that everyone could not understand, even the 4 great forces could not understand. In just 2 short years, Longao had grown to such a level. If they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, who would believe it? At this moment, Longao was in a complete mess. Everyone was extremely nervous and worried because Longao's parents had suddenly disappeared. That's right, Long Yi and Mu Lin had suddenly disappeared. No one knew where they went. Under normal circumstances, if Mu Lin and Long Yi had something to do and left, they would definitely inform Long Haosha. Even if they couldn't find Long Haosha, they would probably inform others. But now, without a sound, the 2 of them had disappeared into thin air. Could it be that something had happened to Mu Lin and Long Yi? The more they thought about it, the more afraid they became. No matter what, their identities were too special. The master wasn't here, but their parents were gone. Not to mention others, even the master's grandfather, Long Haosha, seemed to be difficult to explain. It was precisely because of this that the entire Dragon Sect was doing their best to find Long Yi and Mu Lin's whereabouts. Dragon Sect, Main Hall. Long Haosha's expression was gloomy to the extreme. Ever since the rise of Dragon Sect and family, such a thing had never happened. Furthermore, trying to take someone away from the Dragon Sect without anyone noticing was like a fool's dream. It was something that was almost impossible. Father, we've already searched everywhere, but we still haven't found big brother and sister-in-law. Waving his hand, Long Haosha said in an extremely cold voice, there's no need to search. If there's no accident, the 2 of them should have been taken away. Hearing their father's words, the few of them were shocked. No one could figure out who had such strength to silently take away big brother and sister-in-law from Dragon Sect. Father, what should we do now? Long Haosha did not say anything. He lowered his head in deep thought because he really could not think of anyone who could take away his son and daughter-in-law without anyone noticing when the old ancestor was in charge of the sect. Others might not know, but how could he not know? His ancestor's cultivation base had already reached the heavenly god realm. Who on the martial heaven continent could match him? After thinking about it, Long Haosha still couldn't figure it out. In the end, Long Haosha only suspected 4 forces, which were the so-called overlords of the 9-state spirit domain. They were the East Imperial City, the Long family of the Western Third Grade, the Southern Netherworld Mansion, and the Northern Ethereal Palace. Father, Aoa is back. Hearing that his grandson had returned, Long Haosha immediately stood up. At this moment, Long Ao rushed back, covered in dust. Using the teleportation tunnel of the Crystal Palace, Long Ao hurried back to the sect as soon as he arrived in Tianju. After entering the sect, Long Ao's face was immediately filled with worry and nervousness. Aoa, you're back. Nodding his head, Long Ao impatiently asked, Grandfather, what happened? Long Haosha naturally guessed that his grandson had already received the news. With an extremely grave expression, he said, Aoa, I don't know what happened. 3 days ago, Yi and Xiao Lin suddenly disappeared. We have already searched for 3 whole days, but we still haven't found the 2 of them. Could it be the 4 great forces? In an instant, Long Ao thought that it was the 4 great forces. After all, in the 9 states, only the 4 great forces had a grudge with him to the point where they couldn't tolerate each other. However, after thinking about it, Long Ao immediately rejected the guess in his heart. Because within the sect, other than the ancestor, there was still his grandfather and the fire Qilin Kang Yi. Could the 4 great forces have done it? Long Ao was very clear in his heart that according to the old ancestor's strength, even if a divine realm martial artist came personally, he might not be able to bring his parents quietly. Moreover, among the 4 major forces, it seemed that the strongest person was only a titled Great Emperor. Not to mention a divine realm martial artist, There was not even an ordinary supreme Dao martial artist. Since it wasn't the four great forces, then who could it be? He was very anxious. His parents had suddenly disappeared, and no one knew what had happened. After greeting his grandfather, Longao immediately left. He released his aura to sense the ancestor's aura. After sensing back and forth, what made Longao feel increasingly uneasy was that the ancestor had actually disappeared. What was going on? According to the ancestor, he would only enter the seventh reincarnation after he had dealt with the four great forces. If that was the case, why did the ancestor suddenly leave? Longao knew that if the ancestor was still around, he believed that the ancestor would definitely take the initiative to welcome him when he released his aura. The ancestor had disappeared, and his parents had disappeared. What was going on? Intuition told Longao that things weren't that simple. After finding his grandfather, Longao told him about the ancestor's matter. After listening, Longao thought for a moment and said, "Aoa, if it's like this, then this matter isn't simple at all. At the very least, the four great forces wouldn't be able to do it." Longao nodded his head. Regarding the meaning of his grandfather's words, Longao naturally knew clearly. "Grandfather, there aren't many people in the Tianwu continent who can do this. I've thought about it, and it seems that only the Long family would do this." "Aoa, if it's really the Long family, what are you going to do?" "I'm going to the Long family immediately." Whether it was the ancestor or his parents, Longao couldn't let anything happen to them. Even if he clearly knew that the Long family's strength wasn't something he could contend against, he would still do it. As the saying goes, if you know that there are tigers on the mountain, you will still go up the mountain. Even if there was a mountain of blades and a sea of flames in front of him, Longao was willing to take this risk for his parents and the ancestor. Sighing deeply, Longhaosha said, "Aoa, it shouldn't be the Long family. This matter is very strange. You and I have to think about it at length. But the problem right now is that we don't know who is causing trouble behind the scenes. So we have to wait and see what their next step is." In fact, Longao and Longhaosha were both very curious. If this person could even capture the old ancestor without a sound, then it already meant that this person was very powerful. If that was the case, then why didn't he make a move if he wanted to deal with the Long family? Since that was the case, what was their intention? Thinking about it, Longao also felt that this matter shouldn't be the Long family's doing. Otherwise, the Long family wouldn't have given the Long family the slightest chance. Furthermore, he also couldn't understand why the Long family would do this. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.